talk about this.
I can talk about whatever.
I saw you doing some crazy training with Kelly Slater
No,
back
no,
in the day.
Laird Hamilton.
Oh, right. Whoops. Other surfer.
Yeah.
What's the deal? Do these guys bring you in to do training with them? What does it look like to train with a surfer underwater to hold your breath for 47 years? How does that work?
So Laird was just like mutual connections, and I was working with Aaron Rodgers at the time.
Yeah.
So I went through all of his rehab and such during the season that he tore his Achilles. And Laird is neighbors with Aaron. And so we reached out to them and go over and just like do some pool training, just kind of like diversify the type of training. And also training with community is really helpful as well. And incorporating like all the metabolic stuff with breath holds and temperature regulation, all that stuff.
But these guys are pro athletes. They ostensibly know how to work out.
Yeah.
What do you bring to the equation? Because you do some crazy shit that I've seen on the internet. Like, what are you getting them to do that they're not doing previously?
I think, I would have like a BS joking response first, but going past that, I think probably just diversity. The main thing that I specialize in, which I don't really talk about so much, is bodywork, manual therapy. Rolfing, structural integration, is something that, I don't know, probably nobody really knows what that is exactly. It's a type of manual therapy or bodywork that focuses on fascia or connective tissue, and also specializes or focuses on the integration of the body. So traditional massage therapy is oftentimes like effleurage, you're like rubbing all of the tissue. When you're working with fascia specifically, it's kind of more like slow, deep contact, and it's about rehydration of connective tissue and unbinding fascial layers. So a person can get like stuck in their body from sitting around all day long or from doing the same repetitive motions. Those muscle bellies will start to agglomerate, is the term for it, actually like bind together. That becomes dehydrated. You almost get like stuck in your movement patterns. My specialty would be unbinding those patterns and then integrating that with movement. So first you do the bodywork stuff, and I do a combination of like, you see me do like acro yoga and a bunch of weird stuff, and then the manual techniques, and then integrating that with movement. And the movement's what kind of like, it's like pressing save on the file. So if you just get a massage and you come out and you're all like loose and you feel great, that's lovely, but then you typically will just go back to the same patterns afterwards. And so reteaching a person new movement patterns so that doesn't come back. And then the next layer would be going in and checking out a person's home, checking out a person's work life. Like, how do you actually engage with your body for the other 85% of the day? Because your training is a very minuscule part of your actual like movement experience or movement practice throughout the day.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so like a holistic lens on movement and training.
What is Rolfing exactly? That sounds kind of painful. Does that hurt?
Yeah. Rolfing comes from a gal called Ida P. Rolf. It's kind of in like a similar vein or family as osteopathy. And
naturally.
Yeah, right. And so if you've heard of fascia, which has become like a popular term in the last, decade or so, with trainers and yogis and stuff like that, that was kind of like she set a lot of the foundation and groundwork for people to start really investigating fascia. And so fascia is this infinitely complex connective tissue that's binding all of your organs and your parts and all the structures in your body. It's like the communication network for your whole entire body, and it works specifically with that network.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so if somebody is in pain, in particular because of like a muscle movement or, like you said, too much repetitive action, then they would come and first you would sort of dig into them with this Rolfing technique.
Maybe.
And then you would do,
First, I would probably look at their breath. So I did private practice working with clients, and specifically manual therapy for like 15 years. And then that kind of shifted into the podcast and, other stuff, social media and online programs and all that. But when I was specifically like all day, I'd see like, 4 to 6 clients a day. And that was kind of like my game. And so anytime someone would come in, I would watch how it's a little creepy, but I'd like watch how they would get out of the car. I'd watch how they walk in. So I would like observe their movement and their patterns and their breathing and all that stuff before they would actually see me, because now they like know that I'm like analyzing.
Yeah.
So one of the big things is, breath is like the foundation of everything. So if you are feeling stressed out chronically, if like sleep is challenging for you, if you're chronically having like tense muscles, hypertonicity, your breathing is going to be the foundation for regulating all those systems. And so if a person is chronically like stuck in an inhalation, like You know, that's like what happens when you get surprised or you get scared. You have a full exhalation. Like even just doing that now, like, you know, going into an interview or something like that, a really beautiful thing for you to do is emphasize your exhalation. Also slow down your pacing of your words. You know, you can even like, that will start to just naturally start, your voice will start to get a little bit deeper. You know, and so your vocal cords, it's all a tonicity thing. So if your vocal cords are really tight, you start talking like this, you start going really fast. If you slow things down, it's kind of like a bottom-up approach at augmenting the way that you feel, modulating your state, you know, changing your state, Tony Robbins stuff. And so something as simple as that, like you can probably feel right now, even just me slowing down a little bit, just doing a sigh, because we're always attuning to each other, you know, and you're big with communication and rapport, closing deals, all that stuff. If we're communicating in such a way where I feel nervous, which coming into this, I was a little bit nervous because I want to like do a good job for you. And so in that, previous to that little bookmarked moment where I exhaled, I could observe myself being a little bit, talking a little bit faster, my voice probably even a little bit higher. Just that simple exhale.
That does feel nice.
And a pause. And even like a breath hold. You know, all of that, what's happening when you exhale, it's actually causing your diaphragm to raise up, and it's causing the blood vessels in and around your heart to get a little bit smaller, which causes your heart rate to slow down. It's called sinus respiratory arrhythmia is the fancy term for it, but it sends a signal into your blood vessels in your brain, say, okay, let's slow things down a little bit. So actually it's that parasympathetic side of the nervous system. So if a person is coming in and they're tight and their traps are tight and their jaw's tight and their hands tight and all that stuff, for you to just go in and start like banging away, chipping away at their shoulders, it's fine, it will have effect, but it wouldn't have as global of an effect as if you just first started coming in and just worked with their breath. So do some ribcage stuff. You could even just work with a person. You can conduct really good therapy, like manual therapy, just through language, just through communication. Because if I communicate in such a way, it will affect your nervous system. If your nervous system is affected, then the tone of your muscles and your connective tissue is also affected.
That's so interesting because there's this study that we reference a lot about how unders and overperformers have sort of an unbalanced impact on people. And so if you're around top performers, top 10% performers in any company, those top performers can increase your performance by about 15%. If you're around underperformers, they actually decrease your performance by about 30%. So I always thought about it more as a execution of job activity, but it's really interesting that it could even just be, like you said, you're influenced even by the way that you breathe and how fast you talk, and that nervous energy kind of transfers. Do you find that to be true?
For sure. And also I wonder within, you would know more about this than I would, but I wonder within a company, just having 100% like overperformers, I wonder if that's almost imbalanced in and of itself, where it's nice to have like a jester around, or someone's like, they're just a silly bitch, and they lighten the vibe and they bring happiness and joy and connection and this like familial tie to the team. So like they mess up every now and again, but they just make everybody feel so good.
Yeah, we've got a personality hire. She's also good, but her name's Lindsay. And she self-proclaims herself to be a personality hire.
It's an important thing.
Yeah, she was dancing in my office the other night at 8:30 at night. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you? But we all smiled. And you're right. I think it's really interesting. So even as like a member of a team, you could bring sort of different energy to the team and probably be highly valued from that too.
Yeah, and it would affect the direction of the company. You know, so if the company is just about the bottom line and the ROI and the numbers, it's cool. You'll get, you know, money and assets, you'll acquire things, but ultimately that probably won't lead to like a higher quality of life to the same degree of like, I enjoyed every step of the process and I died with $100 million, but I enjoyed the whole process.
Totally.
Compared to I was just grinding through my life. I've got $100 million. I don't have any friends. I missed it. And now I'm on my deathbed and I'm like, holy crap, what am I going to do with all this paper?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on.
Got a lot of paper.
Got a lot of paper around.
I'm going to start calling money paper from now on like that. You know, I'm like trying to envision, you like walk into two huge celebrities, Aaron Rodgers or Laird Hamilton. do they ever think it's weird when you bring these ideas to them? Like, how do you
No.
how do you ease them in? Top performers just already know this stuff and they know it's important.
Laird and Aaron, they're super like spiritual people. So for them, it's not irregular at all. For some people, whatever, that other like big time celebrity type folk that might be a little bit more like linear that I've worked with, or just people in general. For them, it would be more meeting them where they're at. Everything is business deal. Like everything is sales. Everything is rapport building. And so if I meet you where you're at, then you can trust me because ultimately you want more tribe that's similar to yourself. And so similar, like a starting point would be like the way I dress. We just happen to be wearing the exact same thing right now.
We're buddies.
Yeah. So that's a cool thing. So already immediately there's a little, we already knew each other before and like had rapport and connection, all that stuff. But if we didn't, immediately upon connection, be like, I like her a little bit more. Yeah. Right?
Because we like people that are like us.
We like people that are like us. We want us to win. Right? And so we want our tribe to win. And so then the next thing would be like matching the fingerprint of another person's nervous system, which sounds a little like poetic and wanky to say, but the way the cadence of a person's breath is something you will naturally start to attune to. And you're going to attune to whoever is the most like alpha in the room. And typically the most alpha person hopefully is the most calm person because they're relaxed. They don't have anything to like hide or protect from. Unless they're a king, in which case then they put their throne in the back of the wall so there's nobody behind them and they can see, all of the minions in the crowd and there's like a threat. They might be a little more stressed out. But if you're leading like from beside, and you're actually like a leader that's respects people within them, probably you're pretty calm because you don't feel like people are trying to like assassinate you. So that would be something that you're naturally going to do to bridge connection with somebody is you're naturally going to start to mimic their breathing pace. Right? So that's something that's pretty interesting. You're going to naturally start to mimic their facial gestures. You're going to naturally start to mimic their body language. So if I go into a room and people are, you mentioned like tech neck stuff. If people are kind of like slouchy and tech necky and, maybe they haven't been outside very much and they're like, the skin's pale and they're drinking a bunch of BPA or whatever, I don't want to come in and be too like full throttle, chest out, Jack tan, glass water bottle, spiritual crystals. It's too much, right? So I need to like wind it back a little bit. I need to kind of like, okay, I got to fit in a little bit, like calm down. It's maybe a little slouch is fine. I don't need to be doing like some pigeon pose in the middle of the meeting. Like I can kind of like relax into this a little bit. And then we build connection. And then from there we go into like, okay, now I have something to share with you. And so if a person that's more type A, structured, then for them it's going to be like, okay, we're going to go through, we're going to do blood testing, and we're going to give you lots of like documents, we're going to set goals, and we're going to measure your calories and your macros, and we're going to give you a structured program and something you can follow and trust. And then from there, once we build that bridge of trust, then we can start adding some of the other like esoteric principles.
That's wild. So you probably are incredibly observant with people, like just extreme body awareness, like very observant naturally. Is that part of? I
think we all are. I just put language to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what's governing the way that we communicate. There's like, I don't remember the specific, I think it's the 55-38-7 principle of body language. Is the suggestion is that 7% of our communication comes from the actual words that we're saying to each other, and then 38 is coming from the tone of the way that we communicate, and then 55 is coming from body language. And where that is relevant is if there's conflict between the two. So if you're just talking to somebody on the phone, obviously it's going to be a little bit different. But if you're in communication with somebody and I'm telling you some words, I'm saying like, I'm a big fan of you, you're doing a really great job. But maybe I'm saying that in a tone that is kind of like fast or high pitched, or maybe my hips are facing the door, maybe I'm like a little bit fidgety. You're like, I don't trust this person. So that little 7% of the actual words you're saying is significantly less than the tone and the body language. And so then it gets into like, if you want to be successful in your business or your closing of deals, for you to have the capacity to have the flexibility and range of motion with your facial gestures and with your body language and with the movement of communication, that will allow you to adapt to a broader set of environments. Whereas if you're stuck in your body, you have one mode, you're good for somebody and some group of people, but you're not good for everybody, which is valuable. If you want to be like a gear that's really good at a thing, which some people are, and that's perfect, that's great. But if you want to be able to walk in 25 different rooms and be able to kind of make deep connection with quickness in those, it'd be helpful for you to probably explore things like dance, you know, or like work out, or get yourself healthy so you have a broader range of motion of the way that you can communicate.
God, I never thought about it that way. Speaking of which, like, let's say that you're a young dude, you want to project confidence to women, you want to engage with them confidently. What body language do you put out there? What would you tell them to do?
Relax. So people like to be around people that make them feel good. Right? So if you can make people laugh, or not make people laugh, if you can open up, you know, the potential for laughter or whatever, I don't know, it'd be a little weird, sadistic to like make somebody laugh. But if you can open up laughter and lightheartedness, like that's obviously going to be helpful, but that's something that's a little bit, you know, harder to like teach. Something that's really, really easy to teach is just chill. You know, so if you go into a place and people were stressed out, they're feeling anxious, they're worried about whatever the thing is, and for like whatever it is, just whenever Bobby comes in, everybody just like calms down a little bit. You know, so for a woman, what a woman generally wants, and what anybody wants, but I think women probably even lean higher in this, is safety. You know, so a woman wants to be able to trust, and she wants to be able to feel safe. She wants to be able, like, she can put her guard down. Women are like prey animals in a city. You know, like I would imagine walking around a city and being as like a semi-attractive woman, you just have the sensation of everybody wants to eat me. You know, so guys want to eat
daily, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's probably a lot about women that men don't understand and will never be able to understand because they don't actually understand. Like, to me, I actually look forward to the idea of someone breaking into my house because I have a gun like sitting underneath.
You're a psychopath. My husband's just like this.
A lot of guys are.
So what have you fantasized this out fully? Like, have you thought about like what would happen?
Last night.
So what's the protocol?
I was on the phone last night. I was talking to somebody. I'm going to Miami for the winter, and so I have somebody that's going to be staying at my place. I'm talking on the phone. I'm naked. I'm in my bed. We're talking, and we're just like BSing about whatever. And I hear something downstairs. I'm casually talking on the phone. I reach underneath my bed. I grab my gun. There's like a little flashlight thing on it. And I'm walking around the corner with my gun as I'm having a casual conversation with the girl. That's not what a woman experiences.
Nope.
That's
not. I'm not like, the thing is, it'd be better if I was naked. I don't want to walk. I mean, I do have a gun. So that is part of it. But no, Chris, my husband, has a full projection of what he will do.
I think about it several times a week. I'm not embellishing.
Wait, I have another man question. Do men also often think, I have this friend Sam Parr, and one of his favorite things to talk about is he goes, you know, when I'm in a meeting with people, sometimes I just look around and I think, I could beat them all up. Is that
all the time?
Wow.
Particularly less if I'm, so different things bring out different personalities. Right now I've been obsessing more over boxing and kickboxing. So that it's almost like you have this like imprint of your body if you want to like punch and kick, and you start to see the world a little bit more aggressive in a way.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is a similar thing. If I'm training jiu-jitsu a lot, which I haven't for a while, but I used to, it's a similar thing. Like, you're just looking and you're like, okay, I can grab their wrist, do a little wrist lock, or I can come up behind them and like rear naked. And
100%.
it's just, I think it's just like boredom, really. We have so much time on our hands, you know, and our brains just want to create. And I think men naturally want to protect. Men want to feel purposeful. And like the highest expression of purpose in like an immediate sense for a man is I can protect a woman physically. It's like, oh, it's like the thing that most men, no matter their size, big, small, whatever, like they're praying for that moment to be able to, it's just like a dog. Like we both, you know, we recently did the thing with Mutt Love and all that, and I've been fostering a dog. What she desires most is just to feel like she was purposeful for me. So she barks and all that stuff. She doesn't really care about somebody out there. It's just she wants to like show up for me and protect. That's what a man wants to do for a woman.
That's such a good point. Yeah, that was really cool, by the way. We should give them a shout out, which is Mutt Love Rescue for Belgian Malinois. And you were really cool. I posted it on my Instagram and was like, we're trying to get 10 puppies fostered. It was like breaking my heart too, because they're beautiful, intelligent dogs. And we had a hell of a time getting them fostered, and you were one of the very few people that were like, I'll take one.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not like your lifestyle makes that easy. It's not like you aren't traveling around all the time and with stuff to do. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
like
very
you
additive.
just, well, you know, a lot of people talk about all the reasons why they can't do things, and that was not you.
Yeah.
So
Something else that's interesting is I'm holding this tea. Have you heard of any of the research where when people hold like when they read a resume of someone and it's from on a heavy, thick, what's it called, clipboard, they will perceive the resume as being like weightier and more sturdy and like more trustworthy. It's a similar thing if there was research done with people holding a cold beverage versus holding a warm beverage.
Yep.
If as we're holding, this is very clever, I mean you guys didn't do this intentionally, but me holding a warm beverage right now, based on the research, would cause me to have more of a sensation of perceiving the world around me, including like where I'm projecting my focus being you, as being more warm and like open and like, whereas if I'm holding like an ice cold lemonade here, I would see you as being, I'd like project the lemonade onto my world around me.
Yeah, I've actually heard that research, but I've never thought about using it. That's actually quite clever to think about, you know, and if you bring people into your sphere, can you have warmth? I think about it, actually that's not true. I always have a warm coffee when I film, because I'm pretty in my head and you know, linear maybe, as you would say. And so a lot of the stuff that I talk about is like deals and money and that can feel harsh and it can feel cold and it can feel mean maybe even. And so when I hold a warm beverage, then for some reason it reminds you to smile on it. Yeah, I used to have a sign that Samuel made for me, my videographer, that just said, shut up, what did it say? It said, smile, bitch. Nice. Because I just wasn't, you know, I was like, and then the next step is blah, and that's not really very, you want to, even if you're going to learn from somebody, you want to like them. How do you infuse
the way that you project yourself would be like traditionally a lot of like the masculine principles and the ways like business. How do you infuse, and masculine feminine is just like a concept, it's not like an actual thing, and it doesn't relate to sex, but masculine, directive, head of the spear, get things done, you know, show up on time. Feminine, colorful, nurturing, you know, show up 25 minutes late, like it's all good, I'm just here for like love and beauty. You know, both men and women share those things, has nothing to do with sex. How do you infuse femininity into your life?
It's hard. It's really hard. I think I talked to you about this when we did that workout. I'm like, I'm trying to be more feminine, which sounds like the dumbest thing ever to say.
Yeah, you can't, but so that's masculine.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to be
4
feminine.
steps to being a female.
They're like, okay, well, we got to rework that.
Exactly.
It's not going to work.
But you know what I've found a lot of times is like when you want to feel something, just pretend you feel it. And then you often start to feel it. And so I like, and I felt that with like, I don't actually care about makeup and hair and clothes very much. And I really didn't when I started. I kind of thought it was like a waste of time and like I look the way that I look and like I'll do whatever. And then I realized it's not very feminine, and also like maybe I could play with it a little bit. And so then I started doing more makeup and hair and like playing around with jewelry and getting my nails done. And so I started doing these things that are perceived feminine so that maybe I would feel a little bit more feminine coming into it. And then I ended up like loving it. And I had a lot of, I had fun with putting it all together and sort of the creative aspect of.
So the funny thing is like when a person is quote unquote like faking it till they're making it, they're moving themselves into those positions, which isn't fake at all. And you are modulating your nervous system, your breathing patterns. You'll choose maybe textures that you wear, maybe more like soft and fluffy, or maybe they're kind of like sleek and sensual, and you can like feel your body. You're like more touchable for the, you know, other people, like hopefully your partner or whatever, and as well as yourself. It actually physiologically changes your state, which ends up augmenting the way that you think and the way that you feel. And so it's actually like a real structural, tangible thing, the faking it till you make it. You're creating physiological change in that process of quote unquote faking. You're not faking anything. You are the conductor of your physiology and your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions. And so if a person is feeling a certain way, which, you know, right now it's like I was reading this morning about like Americans, probably, you know, the Western world going through like a friendship recession where loneliness is becoming more and more prominent, particularly around young people. And, you know, depression is on the rise, and anxiety. And I think a lot of this is, a lot of people are quietly suffering because I would presume, this is my experience with quietly suffering, is you don't want to project, I'm actually feeling lonely, I feel like a loser, I feel disconnected, I feel unlovable, I feel any of these things, because you have an internalized fear that that's actually going to make you be like a social pariah. So you have to front and pretend like you have your shit together. And then you're around people, because we're always rapport building, and we're always attuning to each other. So now you cause other people to put a front up, and now you have these superficial, vain, plastic relationships, when underneath, what you really desire is just to feel safe enough to be vulnerable.
I think you're very right on that. You know, and it's interesting because I think, you know, we talk a lot about community, obviously, because we buy community businesses, we buy small businesses. And I think one of the biggest things that we've done to our society today is that we've kind of like sucked the soul out of everything that used to put us together. And that's to be a gross generalization, but think about it. I mean, I talk about it with the team. I'll buy any of their food that they want, you know, while they're at the office working or whatever, coffee, you know, lunch, whatever, but not from a big corporation. I'm like, if you want a coffee, it's not from Starbucks. It's from the local coffee shop. And the reason why is because you feel, or at least I do, when I go into a Starbucks, they don't spell my name right. The place feels devoid of community. It used to be a third place. It no longer is. But when you go to Persian Cafe down the way, you're like, oh, like, I remember, hey, Sally, good to see you again. And like you run into a friend there and it feels communal. And I think we've done that, at least from a business perspective, in a big way. And I think that trickles down across everything in society.
How important do you think, one, I'm also noticing that you're crossing your legs as well, which is great. Do you do this anyway?
I do this all the time.
Oh, good. It's so much better for your health.
Is it really?
So much.
Because I just find it much more comfortable.
It's so dumb that we sit, like your legs, your feet, your whole lower compartments are so far away from your heart in this position.
Oh, that's true. Why does that matter?
Well, it's helpful for circulation, it's helpful for digestion. Like you want to get your blood back up in your center, right? And then also being in that position, there's nothing wrong with sitting. Like sitting's fine, and a chair is nothing wrong with a chair. It's just a tool. It's just the body needs some level of semi-perpetual like agitation to be able to circulate. You know, so there was another point that I was going to say, but this is also, I think, relevant and valuable. Like one of the things that's really important is we have these waste management systems in our body called our lymphatic system. And the places where your lymphatic system has the high concentration of lymphatic glands are in places of a high volume of movement. So back behind your knees, in your groin, in your hip area, in your abdomen, in your shoulders, in your neck. These are all places that just through evolution, they were placed there because naturally you would be walking across the plane or wherever the heck you're walking at, depending upon your belief system. You would be kind of rinsing out those anatomical positions in the body through movement. So you're going like this with the rags today. So you're naturally running your waste management system. That's like the garbage collector picking up all the old trash all day long. A person can start to get toxic and sick just in their own sedentariness. And so when you're sitting in that position and you're chronically flexing those positions, you're crimping off all of those valves and all of the precious tissue, the glands and such, in the hips and in the knees and in the, you know, the neck. You have the forward head posture stuff, and you have the shoulders rolled forward, all that stuff. You're literally taking all of those plumbing systems, all those pipes, and you're going, and then you're wondering why you have fill in the blank form of dis-ease, like you're toxic. And the way that you circulate your toxicity is through movement and expression. So expression could be by becoming a more expressive person and communicating like they do in Italy or Spain or you know, anywhere in Latin America. They are actually cleaning themselves in their communication and their connection.
I've never thought about it that way.
It's really important.
That makes all the sense in the world. I've started getting lymphatic massages. Really enjoying it.
You don't need a lymphatic massage. You can literally just like
do it yourself.
Go take a dance class.
Wow.
Yeah, and a nice thing, if people are interested, I just posted a video on my YouTube channel with a guy called Perry Nicholson, where it's called
It's just Aaron Alexander at YouTube.
The YouTube's Align podcast.
Oh yeah.
Align podcast. But one of the clips we posted, it's like a 7-minute clip or so. Perry Nicholson, he's like the OG in lymphatic massage. One of the most important videos I think a person can watch. He calls it the Big Six, and he takes people through this really simple lymphatic drainage exercise. And it's really simple. You rub along the collarbone, you rub around the armpits, you rub around the stomach, rub around the groin, rub around back of the knees. And you kind of shake yourself up a little bit. It takes like 5 minutes. I'd highly recommend starting a little practice like that because it opens up those channels for your body to be able to circulate.
How often do you do that?
You can do it every day.
Every day.
Yeah. And it's also just nice having physical touch with yourself as well. People are very touch deprived, which is a whole nother conversation. There's a woman, so in my book, The Align Method, which I brought a copy for. One of the chapters is all around the value of touch. And there's research that I included in there from It was in the University of Miami, I believe. And the woman, Dr. Tiffany Field, she wrote a book called Touch. That's interesting if you want to go deeper into that. One of the things that she included in there was they did research with premature babies that were in incubators. And they traditionally, the lens would be, don't touch them. They got to keep it sterile. You don't want to get sick. And they said what they started to introduce is like, I think these children need like the most human thing, which is love and connection, and that sensation, that deep visceral sensation of safety that arises from like, oh, I'm safe with you. Like I have mother's contact. What they did was they introduced, it was just 15 minutes, if I remember correctly, 15 minutes of little like baby massage twice a day. And they found that the babies were able to grow. I think it was like 2 times faster. And they're eating the same amount of food, but suddenly just all of their systems, they go up into like, oh cool, like we can heal, we can grow, we can go into that parasympathetic rest, digest, heal, repair state because we feel safe. And so if you're a person that's banging away on your computer, trying to make lots of Bitcoin or whatever, and you're just home in your house, like untouched by anything, like your only physical contact is on the cold, hard, sad stool that you're sitting in front of your cold, hard, sad laptop. And it's just flat, and it's banal, and it's empty, and it's just numbers. If you're in that place, what you really need is a hug. You really need a hug.
I think this is a message for like all of X. Like every single person on Twitter needs that, actually. It explains so much.
It would be very helpful. You probably care less about the numbers on the screen. And that's what happens. If you're more, there's a book by a guy called Daniel, I think it's Daniel Mickelchrist. Daniel Mickelchrist? It's called Master and His Emissary. And it's about the left hemisphere, right hemisphere dynamic. And the left hemisphere is more like that kind of male, dominant, rational, get it done. Right hemisphere is more creative, expressive. Let's just, throw paint in the wall and go take a vacation and have fun, love each other, and then we'll die someday. This is going to be great. That left hemisphere, masculine, spearhead, get it done. What happens is if that gets too much momentum and it gets too loud, it drowns out that side of like the nurturing and the love. Yep. And so a person will become addicted to the numbers on the screen, and they'll become addicted to the concept or illusion of winning while they're potentially hurting themselves, hurting those around them, hurting the environment, hurting their community. But it's because they feel empty. And what they really need is love. And then they start making decisions like, you know what, I don't want to support that big evil corporation because I don't care that much about the bottom line.
Right.
Like I want to support people that I love and care about, and I want to feel loved and cared about, and I want reciprocity, and I want connection, and I want to take care of all of the world. Like that's of a higher value to me than, netting an extra, whatever, $100,000.
Is that why you're a long hugger?
Yeah, I think it's a little selfish.
With everybody?
I gauge my hugging
ratio?
Off of other people. If it's for you, I'm like a midway hugger.
Okay.
I just kind of like subtly try to like respectfully nudge. I'm like,
you push my hug boundaries.
I'm kind of like I'm here for more if you want. No, okay, we're good. We're good. If you push it and you're uninvited, not good.
Not good.
Not good.
Okay. And then how long is the longest hug that you do normally?
I've had some good 30-second hugs, I would say. 30, 45. Because what's nice is, and this I wouldn't want to do this if they're like
deep breathing
stinky
with each other too.
So I think
that's where I draw the line.
So there's a term. I lived in Hawaii when I was 18. I moved to Hawaii, you did a podcast with Brian Callen recently. I did a podcast.
He's hysterical.
I did a podcast with him. I don't know, years ago when I lived in LA.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things, a joke that he mentioned, we were like talking about traveling. It was like, hashtag world traveler. How we're like subtly. Name dropping, subtly, I live in Hawaii, no big deal, all trying to like validate. There, or in Hawaii, they call white people haole. Oh, yeah. Haole means without breath. And so the white man that came, I think it was like Cook or whoever, came and kind of like pillaged and killed and kind of like took the land from the Hawaiians. There's probably a lot more details to it than that. They would not greet each other the way the Hawaiians would do. The way the Hawaiians would do is they would go up and they do like a little like connection with each other. We're not going to do it, but they do like almost like a little Eskimo kiss, and they would exchange breath with each other. So we'd say, "Oh, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? How's the day? Let's get to work."
Wild.
Yeah.
Every time. We would
I mean, I
probably
never
be a
lived in
lot
Hawaii
more
in the
chill of a
1700s, but
society.
yeah,
if we did
it would be a much deeper form of connection. Whereas now the handshake, from what I understand, I think handshake is like checking to see if there's like a weapon, which is pretty antiquated, unless you're in Texas.
That's normal. Now it makes sense.
So think about that, what that does to a culture.
Interesting.
So if you're in a place which is like the Dunbar number, you know, place like less than 400 people or whatever, it allows you to be like, I have a place in, I used to live in Bend, Oregon, and I still have like residents there, and so I'll go up there every now and again. And Bend is a place that I freaking love because it's kind of like a little like Hawaiian Eskimo type culture. It's a small town. People really care about supporting local.
Yeah.
They really care about like doing right by each other. Like you could literally in Bend, Oregon, you could walk up to somebody randomly on the street and be like, "Hey, bro, I'm having a rough time. I lost my wallet. Could I borrow $20?" I bet you 35% of the people that you walk up to be like, "Of course, keep it, no problem." And it's like that type of place because like I know that I'll see you again at some point, and like you are me.
Wow.
In a way. When you get into a big metropolitan city, people start talking faster, people start walking faster, people start bumping into each other. It's like, I don't have time to apologize. I'm never going to see that person again. Screw them.
Yeah.
What that ends up doing is it reflects back on yourself, I think, as well, and probably, you know, would make you feel a little bit more like alone in the world. That's a little bit of like presumption and projection. But I would think being in a place where you feel like the safety of the whole entire community in town, where it's like you have the time and space. If I say hello to somebody, I actually want to connect with you. I want to like feel you. And then we'll get into whatever we're doing, compared to like, I want to check you for weapons. And then we'll move on.
Come on. That's true. Well, these days too, I feel like I have to ask,
That might be
like,
a little bit of a stretch,
are you
but-
a hugger? You know, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
because
That's what I do. I say, are you a hugger?
Yeah.
And then I say, are you a lung hugger?
No, you don't. With the eyebrow raise, I have Botox. I don't think you can do it. But like that, I don't know. You know, you're a good-looking tall dude. I'm sure that works out for you many times.
I received that.
They're like, yep. I love how Aaron talks about energy management, how the way we move, stand, and breathe either fuels us or drains us. That philosophy carries over into finances too. Domain Money is about optimizing your financial energy and helping you do all the smartest things for your money. Instead of trying to DIY your money plan, their team of expert certified financial planners create a strategy tailored to what matters the most to you, freeing up your time and mental bandwidth. It's like having a trainer who ensures every rep and every movement counts, only this time it's for your financial future. Here's the best part. You don't have to waste hundreds of hours trying to figure it all out. Get all of your money questions answered and have a clear step-by-step plan tailored to you. And if you're ready to start making the most out of your money, we're offering a free 30-minute session to show you how. It's time to make the smartest investment of all, yourself. Go to domainmoney.com/Codie Sanchez to book your free strategy session today. So, I was reading something from Brian Johnson the other day, and he was saying that poor posture is killing us, and also that bad posture makes less people want to have sex with us. Is that true?
That's probably true. Well, the bad one, it's not a moralistic thing. It's just what are the results that you're seeking. So if you put like a moralistic judgment on something, you'll probably put yourself into a double bind, and you'll create like this feeling of like guilt and resistance and all that stuff. So it's like another energy of contraction, which will actually perpetuate disadvantageous posture.
Yeah.
You know, so if what your intention is to allow your body to circulate all of the vital fluids and open up the nervous system to be able to conduct itself and send signals efficiently, and to allow yourself to be in a place of balance and allow your central nervous system, i.e. your spine, to be able to again, something like nervous system, be able to convey that information from the guts and, you know, the rest of the body and the skin, all that stuff to the brain and vice versa. You'd really want to clear those channels and open up space. And the way you would do that would be by creating balance or neutrality. And so if the neck is chronically in that like jutting forward position, you're crimping off. This is like it's like a main super highway. It's the confluence of all of, you know, it's your brain trying to reach down and send and receive information. 80% of the information from your vagus nerve, which innervates all of the organs for the most part, is actually coming from the organs to the brain. So you're receiving a tremendous amount of information from the body to the brain. You're not just brain-based, you're very body-based. Every person is a thinking body. They're a thinking, feeling body, like a sentient body. You need to innervate and enliven the body in order to support the function of the brain. Dance, there was research done from Albert Einstein Medical College that they were measuring which type of activity would be the most effective for staving off cognitive decline. And they found by far dance to music with a partner is the best thing a person can possibly do to stave off cognitive decline.
Well, Latinas get it, huh?
Yeah, they get it.
I liked the dance move because one time I saw you do some crazy shit on Instagram, which
good.
was you, a stripper pole, dance moves.
Oh, did you see that? I don't even remember what that was.
You don't?
That was a while ago.
Is that part of the dance that you
Big,
do? What was,
big stripper guy, yeah.
really?
Yeah, I was actually a burlesque dancer.
What? Like for an audience?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, tell me about
performed
that.
in Portland.
Tell me about that.
It wasn't professional. I think I earned $40.
You killed it. Number one burlesque in the
But
country.
I invested in Bitcoin.
So now you're rich and moving to Miami. This all tracks.
Yeah.
Interesting. So why the stripper pole, or is that just something you think is fun because you're strong, so you can like lift
No,
yourself
stripper poles
up?
are awesome. Any form of dance is amazing. Dance is one of the best ways to circulate in an abstract way. So what happens is people end up, and you're also connecting your body to rhythm, which is a whole another element of cognitive connection. So if you're just going to the gym and you're like struggling through bicep curls and tricep extensions, it's great. Like metabolically, you're having effect and you're releasing more BDNF. It's like the miracle grow for the brain and neurons and all that stuff. And you're circulating blood, and you're releasing endorphins and like all this like feel good stuff. But it's still kind of like dumb, So you're just pumping the system. So it's kind of like sometimes if I don't have time with the dog, I'll just take her for a run on my bike and we'll just run for a while until she gets tired. That's one version of exercise and movement to like get out the stuff within the dog. Then there's another version where she can actually go out and she's like in a field and she's chasing squirrels and she's abounding, over limbs and logs and all that stuff. Or we're like training her, and that's turning on all of these other gears within herself. Dance is one of those amazing things where it's like this shotgun. It's like this perfect electrical storm of all of the information that your body needs to grow and thrive.
Interesting.
So
Zumba in.
All of it. Any form of dance I think is fantastic. If I had one like movement modality, practice or whatever that I could do for the rest of my life, it would be having access to all the forms of dance and probably like calisthenics.
Interesting.
Resistance training really important for bone density, but if you're doing dance, I would cheat and say, well, I can pick people up.
But you're pretty buff. Is the way that you get strong dance, or do you have to lift heavy weights?
No, I do all the things.
All of them. Okay.
I do all the things.
Now, what about, we were talking about posture, but where I wanted to really get to is your work setup. The way that, in your mind,
this is good.
A perfect desk work setup, what does it actually look like?
There's a company, technically, I think I might be a part owner of them, which you like, but it's a very small percentage, so it wouldn't affect me at all.
Okay, we need to work on your distribution.
Yes!
Yeah, like technically I might.
We did a thing. But I think it was I don't think it was like a major thing. We were like in conversation with him. But the company, I'm not saying this because of that, but the company's called Appeal Design is the name. I have one at my house. And it's a sit-rise desk, so it goes all the way to the ground and all the way up to standing. Yeah. So that's really great. So the solution of like the standing desk is still a pretty sedentary position, and you're still like pulling all of your fluids and lymph and all the different things down into your lower body. So if you could sit on the ground, which I know is like absolutely insane for some people, except for like every healthy country across the planet forever. Like so the places in the world that spend time on the ground with regularity, where it's just normal, they have minimal to no incidence of osteoarthritis in the hips and the knees. Pelvic floor dysfunction is like not so much a thing. Fall risk is the #1 leading reason for elderly needing assisted living. And if you are getting up and down off the ground with regularity, like evolution or God or whatever your belief system designed you to do, none of that is a thing. Like we're just failing our bodies. We're just like forgetting about our bodies. And it's so easy to go back to some of those like quote unquote like it's not ancestral. It's just like being a human. Yeah. And so I think it's weird when the idea of a person being able to like get up and down off of the ground is like a thing. That just to me indicates how far off we are and how like far gone. It's like holy, we really need to turn this thing around because that's not okay. And so within that, when you're on the ground, like digestion is better. There's more blood. It's closer to your heart. It's easier for circulation. So something that I would recommend would be setting up your workstation. One, if it is a standing desk, then get yourself some different tools so you can change your hip positions. So get yourself, like, it could be literally anything, a ball, a rock, some like anything, to a stool, so you can take your sacrum and your lower back in and out of extension. So you can raise a leg up, put yourself into flexion on that side, and just kind of like oscillate and like pumping the sacrum is very important, and also pumping the knees and ankles. If you can get all the way down on the ground, I'd recommend, and I won't go too long in this because it probably gets boring at some point, but I would recommend raising your hips up above the height of the knees. Get yourself like a big floor cushion of some sort, meditation cushion, whatever the thing is. Stack some pillows up. Make sure your hips are up above the height of your knees. So if you put a ball on your thigh, it would roll down toward the knee. If you're doing that, that's going to set the pelvic floor and the lumbar spine up for stability. It can like stack on itself. You want a subtle tilt anteriorly, so you can be on the front of the bones on the bottom of your butt. It's called the ischial tuberosities. So you want to be able to sit, boom, like plug those bones, bam, into the ground. Think of it almost like a socket, like a male end going into the female end of a socket. Those bones are kind of like the two prongs, and the socket is kind of like the ground. And so if I go and I fold my male end of that, I go in and I'm kind of like, oh, I can't get conductivity in there. There's all sorts of like Eastern esoteric stuff that suggests that it's like connects your energy and all that stuff through your body, which is true. It just, I don't think it's so valuable to talk about it in certain rooms. So it's easier to talk about like the structural stuff. But what that's doing is it's balancing your lumbar spine and your lower back, so you can actually hold weight through your shoulders. So ideally, you're practicing a position through a good chunk of the day that if someone put their hands down your shoulders, or you put like a 50-pound weight on your shoulders, you'd be like, no problem. If you're doing that, it's such a massive hack, because now you're starting to turn your like fitness into just who you are. Right? So the way that you think about business, you walk into a tea shop, or you have your, I read your book, so if you have your house cleaner come to your house, just who you are is business. Like who you are is an owner. You've identified with that. It's become a part of who you are, which is why it's like intoxicating to be around you in some ways, because you're like, oh my God, like that energy, like people want that. That's why you're so successful. Yeah. And so what I do, or what I'm attempting to do with anybody that comes in contact, really is like starting to reshape our perception, really very similar to the way you are, of fitness not being a thing that we do, but it's just who you are all the time. So when your house cleaner comes, just who you are as a person, you're like, how can I optimize this? How can we get involved? Is there some way that we can expand this, and like it can be like a mutual win for us? It's just how you see the world.
You are like that too. Like I remember when we worked out, I start getting better posture because I see you over here. Good. So I'm like, oh shit, I got to sit up straight too. But
sitting up straight can be a problem.
Oh no.
Because you can add tension in the body. Anyways.
Oh, I guess that probably makes sense.
Yeah.
I probably don't need more of that.
We need to make a roadmap, which is why I wrote the book, do the programs, do all the different things, so that a person can realign, reorient their body in such a way that they actually relax into alignment. They relax into success. You're not trying to be successful, you are successful.
Interesting. A couple other things that you do that I thought was interesting. It's not just the floor and the movement with your work setup, but you also have some thoughts on inside versus outside. You have some thoughts on like other things that you structure a day that is like healthy for Aaron. Can you talk about some of those? Yeah.
I mean, sunlight is like the energy currency for your body. It's what stimulates your mitochondria and stimulates ATP, and is helpful for skin health, and it's helpful for libido, and it's helpful for mood, and it's like you're like plugging the gas pump into your car by just exposing yourself to the frequencies of the sun. There's nothing new agey or spiritual about it at all. It's just science. It's just the way that it is. And even when you're eating food, much of what you're getting from the food is you're getting the energy from the sun in the form of something that you can chew on. But what the hell is an apple doing all day long for, however long it takes for an apple to become an apple? Like, it's just absorbing through photosynthesis the energy from the sun to turn into this red thing that you consume, that you're pretty much just eating sun. Like, what? Sun and water is what you're eating. Yeah. And, the nutrients from the soil. But what causes that apple to grow, without the sun, it's not going to do anything. So thinking of the sun as actually a tangible, objective, like nutrient that you're consuming, I think is a really valuable reframe. One of the biggest issues in the world, well, sun against the eyes is really important as well, but allowing your eyes to be able to relax and take in the panorama is incredibly important as well. You've heard, I know you're a fan of Huberman, he's a sweet dude. He's one of the things that I learned from him that is just the reality, is that your eyes are neurological tissue. They're a continuation of your brain. I would suggest your whole entire body is just a continuation of the brain. There's no separation, that's all story. But your eyes, when they are going into a panoramic view, i.e. they're taking in the whole room, you're kind of like just spacing out, that is sending a signal to your autonomic nervous system that it's safe to be calm. So you'll probably notice if your eyes relax, you look up into the clouds, you look up into the trees, you're just taking a brisk walk, and you're just kind of taking it all in. You will probably notice you'll calm down. You'll probably notice exhalations get a little bit longer. You'll probably notice maybe your pacing of your language slows down a little bit. You're just kind of like, oh. When you're up close and you're looking into a screen, and then you look 5 feet out to a wall, and then you look 8 feet out to a wall, and then you look back to a screen, and you're getting non-native artificial frequencies from these lights all day long, which is a very small bandwidth of the actual frequencies of light that you'd be getting from the sun. Even though it feels bright in here, the actual lumens, it's a measurement of light that's being produced by these guys, is like a minuscule fraction of what you would get even on a cloudy day in the sun. So the amount of energy that you're getting by just being outside is immense. And then also you're allowing the fitness of your visual muscles to be able to go through a full range of motion, which in a way is almost like an exercise or a workout for your nervous system. So if you can oscillate in and out of myopic focused vision into panoramic, that is much like what you would do every time you inhale and exhale. When you inhale, it's more sympathetic, you're hyped up a little bit. When you exhale, you're parasympathetic. We go through these oscillations all day long. When you get stuck in myopia, you're stuck in contraction. Muscles in your eyes, ciliary muscles, among other things, they contract in order to refract that light. You're actually contracting muscles in your eyes in order to be able to look at things up close. You're actually relaxing muscles in your eyes in order to be able to take in the whole view. So it's actually muscular contraction. It's like engagement to just be in inside of a room.
Fascinating. One of the other things that I didn't realize was that I was looking up studies on how many Americans have chronic knee pain. 40 million Americans have chronic knee pain. My husband actually used one of your programs to help with his knees.
Oh, cool.
And the pain that he has there. And my dad has I don't know, I think he's had 2 knee replacements, maybe even gone in for a third one for something that went wrong. Talk to us about, first of all, why are Americans' knees so fucked up? And then how would one even start to think about going and fixing that? And I know you have programs that help people with that
one
too.
of the big things, and so Ben Patrick, who would be great for you to talk to him at some point because he's amazing in the realm of business. He repopularized, thankfully, he wasn't the first one, but brought it into more common, popular conversation of the value of getting your knees over your toes. So that came from some pretty not great, I was gonna say bunk research, but not great research. It's accurate, and the suggestion is when you put your knees over your toes, you're putting more stress on the knees, but stress on the body is what causes hormesis and causes the body to respond and get stronger. And so that would be something that would be of value, as a person not having fear of taking the knees through a broader range of motion, kind of like the sun. If you're afraid of the sun, you'll probably get sick. If you're afraid of any aspect of yourself, if you're afraid of yourself, it is getting a little bit, maybe a little bit too esoteric, but to be afraid of those different ranges of motion will end up atrophying those ranges of motion. And so that would be something that would be a really major thing, like just squatting down on the ground, you're taking your body through a more fuller range of motion. So if you could spend some time in a deep squat, you are going to be compressing all those connective tissues and kind of realigning the connective tissues just by the passive process of going through, a squat. If you're going through a lunge, if you're spending some time floor sitting, you're crossing your legs. It's kind of like 2 pigeon poses on both of your legs. So you're getting external rotation on each side. You could go through a 90-90 position. Now you're doing medial rotation on one of the sides and external rotation on the other side, switching the other side. You're just taking all of that connective tissue through a broad range of motion so it can stay hydrated and stay healthy and stay responsive. When the system starts to become disengaged just from lack of movement, that's when the system becomes dangerous. When the system's dangerous, it would, rightfully so, will probably start sending a signal of pain to say don't do this. I don't trust you anymore. So that would be something that would be supportive, would just be taking the knees, like don't be afraid to take the knees through a broader range of motion.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, the knees could be like just like the whipping boy between the hips and the feet. So the feet are so brilliantly complex, and so they have, what is it? It's like 33 joints, 26 bones, I believe. There's like 7,000 plus nerve endings in each foot. Like they're so complex, and so they just want to feel and sense the world, because they're sending information to the rest of your body of what the heck's happening, like since the beginning of ever. Until now, we are in shoes, which I don't like your shoes, by the way.
And I don't like my shoes either.
I love your shoes for you sitting on that chair.
Yeah, exactly.
I love them.
That's really only what women's shoes are for. I at least don't wear stilettos.
That's fine. I love your shoes for 45 minutes at a dinner thing.
Yeah.
I love your shoes for walking from point A to point B to get a photo, and then you take them off, and you hang out and you give a little foot massage. I'm usually
barefoot in here. I should have known for you.
I love all of, like, there's no style that I don't like in a temporary state. But if it becomes chronic, that's when you really are probably shooting yourself in the foot. And
let me give it to you. Okay. That's good.
And then you're going to be whacking all these moles, doing all this crap, when like the foundation of where your whole entire body rests upon is being compromised.
Yeah.
So that would be if a person is experiencing knee pain, and I was treating them, the first thing I would do would be work with their feet, like bar none, hands down.
Interesting.
And then from there we go through and then I'd work with their hips and see what's the alignment of their hips. And then from there we go through movement patterning.
So do you think we should be barefoot more often?
Yes. Yeah, like duh.
Like how much? How often?
As much as you can do. I'm getting so mad.
I like it. I see some viral moments right here. Yes.
Yeah.
No shoe club.
Yeah, no shoe. Yeah, just whatever, baby steps.
Yep. You got two. Wait, so you go on an airplane?
Yeah.
Do you take your shoes off on the airplane?
Yeah.
Oh man, you don't stick it.
My shoes are off so much my feet don't smell bad.
I think this sounds like man math. This sounds like boy math right there.
I'm mansplaining foot stink.
But I guess that's probably true. They're not constrained.
It's true.
Yeah.
I want to get my shoe off because I don't want it to smell bad.
Interesting. Wait, I want to play a game. Okay? The game is, do you think you can tell if a guy is an alpha or a beta by their body language?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's do it with some celebrities. How about this game?
Sure.
Okay, ready?
I'd have to see him because I'm not good with pop culture.
You think I don't have a photo of you? Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
How about Prince Harry, Meghan Markle?
Oh my God, beta. Yeah, the girl's super alpha in this photo.
Super alpha.
Yeah, she's like her poodle.
Yeah.
It's like, just protect me.
Kind of looks like that.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith? You see that down at the bottom?
Alpha, but trying. Yeah, so there's insecurity, and so I mean I don't want to say because I have friends
just
that
a photo.
Yeah, whatever. But I would, and Will seems like a great person, and I've heard from whatever. So it feels weird, But what I see, and could be my projection, and probably coming from my own insecurities, I see like a trying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what about Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift there?
Fucking beta. So alpha, what we do, and I'm saying this again, this is more projection because this is like my life path. A person that is pronounced like chest out, all that stuff, beta. So that's a person that's trying to be alpha, and they feel insecure, and they're trying to project out, I can hurt you, I'm confident. A person that's truly confident, like there's a fight between, I don't know if you follow UFC, but there's like an iconic, it's like the shortest fight in the history of the UFC, between Masvidal and Ben Askren.
Flapping gums at each other. Any chance they get. The fight clock is brought to you by Modelo.
If you look at Masvidal's posture before that, there was no like,
Right.
Conor McGregor, like machismo, any of that stuff. It was he's sitting back on the cage, hands behind his back, ribs down, shoulders kind of relaxed. He's like actually like well stacked in his body. He's not crunching over like tech neck. He's just stacked and aligned, but relaxed in his body. Bell rings, 3 steps, flying knee into the face, and the fight's over. That's alpha as shit. And so that would be how I would describe like the epitome of alpha posture.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, just given how, you know, Chris's background, and like on Sunday we were with a group of, you know, very, as Chris would say, very violent, dangerous men. And what's interesting is
they're the nicest.
They're the nicest.
Yeah.
They're the
calmest.
quietest.
Yeah, they don't have anything to prove.
They're the calmest. And often, if I wasn't sort of familiar with what to look for, because I've been with Chris for so long now, I would have never known.
Yeah, that's alpha.
And that...
Alpha isn't a triangle.
Yeah, it doesn't. But, you know, there were a few moments, like I remember talking to one of the generals, and, you know, and I was asking some intense questions about the Army and what's happening here and how do we think about this and why should we have trust in these instances. And he was incredibly kind and calm in a way that I wouldn't have imagined. But I could tell, like, I don't even know what the body movement was, but I could tell there was a movement where he was like, I don't like that question, but proceeded to like very kindly ask. But it was in that moment too, where I was like, oh, don't forget, this motherfucker's tough. You know, he's been through it. And even though he's being very kind and nice, there are like little moments where you can see through. You're like, oh, thankfully society is the way that it is.
Yeah, and that's why you can't, it's really hard to like fake stability and safety in a relationship. And that's why oftentimes relationships, I know I'm like going like a tangent, but I think that like a lot of this stuff comes to the surface with like polarity dynamics in a relationship. And it's very hard for a person to like try to be more safe or try to be more stable or try to be more like trustworthy or try like whatever those things, because it's actually an intrinsic nervous system thing. It's like so much deeper for you to have that depth of calmness and ease, that like quiet strength. That just comes from you doing hard shit and you knowing who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And if you don't, because you just, it's not a bad thing. It's not like you are forever beta, or beta is even, you know, beta is really important to have in society. There's no like, you know, right, wrong, bad, good. Without beta, there's no alpha. You know, so it's like even beta is like, it's great. Like play beta every now and again. That would be the ideal situation is, and that's just the reality of most things. Most people are not permanently alpha. They're alpha for a while, and then they're beta for a little bit, and then they're alpha for a while. That would be like a good teammate.
Interesting.
So if I'm alpha, but now suddenly I'm with my football coach, and I shouldn't be like alpha machismo guy, it's actually, oh no, like he's the leader. And then we break off from the coach, and I go out, now I'm the leader.
Yeah.
So that would be good, I would
I
presume, in like any team dynamic, to be able to have that. It's the same thing, like the fluctuation of being able to move through body language, and it's how you create rapport and respect.
Right, because a beta, and in some instances, might just mean number 2. It might just, it could be an incredibly strong warrior type human, but just in the second position.
Yeah, and a person could be so strong that they're comfortable and confident in the number 2 or number 3 or whatever position, because what I care about is the team. I'm not living this solipsistic life where it's just about me and I have no awareness or consideration of those around me. That's how you lose. And so right now, what does the team need? Oh, the team needs somebody to be funny. Room's too heavy, you know, like I'm gonna start cracking jokes. I'm like, typically, like I could kill people, I can get shit done. Everybody's in this tense place, like I'm gonna be the jester. There's no jester here. Okay, there's just a bunch of jesters here. We need to get our shit together. All right, I'm gonna be the leader, I'm gonna be the alpha, I'm gonna be the head of the spear.
Yeah, and because you're a big guy, I've found often you do use jokes to like lighten the load.
You think because I'm a big guy I do that?
I don't know, maybe. I think because you could be perceived as like serious or like strong, or if you came in and my team, you know, if you just walked in and were like, hi, I'm Aaron, hello everybody, yes, I'm ready to go.
That'd be weird.
You walked in with a fucking 45-pound kettlebell, and if you weren't making jokes, that would be weird.
Yeah.
You know, and a schmedium, sure. Yeah. So like...
It's just fresh out of the dryer.
I'm sure you are also very playful. But I think that probably helps, right? Chris is the same way. He laughs a lot, and he's always the funny one.
Oh yeah, it's like
dangerous.
It's like the anti-Napoleon complex. It's like, let's lighten up a little bit. Everything's fine.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about. I want to talk about sleep. Like,
okay.
you know, I think people today, obviously, we're having a hard time sleeping. That's really common. It happens a lot to women, especially I keep hearing as we get older, it happens to women after we have kids. A lot of my friends that are women that have kids, they're fit, they're healthy in all the ways that you might perceive externally if you're normal. But they want that like sleeping beauty, blacked out, can't hear anything, deep kind of sleep. Yeah. And it's escaping them. Like, what do you do to sleep well?
Well, again, I'm not the sleep guy. But I talk to a lot of sleep guys, and you know, I'm very interested myself, and I've done, you know, a decent amount of research on it, and I sleep okay. Not always though. I mean, sleep for me, the biggest thing that modulates my sleep is how safe I feel in my life and how much certainty I have. When I feel like I have certainty in my life, I sleep like a baby. When things get like lifted off the ground, I'm like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? You know, or I'm, you know, worried about a relationship thing. Relationships are probably the main thing that like causes me to
like
mess up my
intimate
sleep.
relationships.
Yeah, if there's like that's something which probably like illuminates some kind of like emotional codependency type thing that I have, where it's like my co-regulation with the person that I'm with. If we're like off, I kind of go into this place of like, this must be fixed, you know, and if it's not fixed, I'm like,
and you can't sleep, and that's what gets you.
That's one of the things that'll get me.
That's very vulnerable.
Yeah, but so I think all of the stuff aside, like we do so much, I think it's just like minutia, you know, of like our hacks, and it's just a bunch of nerds, you know, just like watching too many TikTok videos and, you know, reading too many
Brian Johnson
headlines of articles
tattooed on the upper thigh.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like if you feel safe, if you feel loved, if you have like joie de vivre, you're looking forward to your day tomorrow, you had a great day where you feel gratified and you feel like you exhausted yourself in the best possible way, you probably sleep really good.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. And you don't need 47 pounds of magnesium followed by a bath on top of.
So that's the foundation that I don't think enough people are talking about, because, I don't know, there's not a lot to sell in that, for one thing. And you don't sound that smart. You sound wise, but you don't sound that smart. And so like I think there's like an energy towards like, I want to sound smart. You know, and so I think there's probably a lot of that where we hear a lot of these information, and we're also, it's not just someone who sounds smart, we're looking for simple solutions, but we don't want to do the work.
Yeah. Well, you actually have a line that I loved, which was that you said, avoid modifying your neural chemistry from the inside with medication, rather alter your environment from the outside to produce the results you want.
Oh, it's cool.
Did you like that quote?
That's nice.
You seem smart.
It's a little too pedantic.
Okay, well, what do you mean by that? Or what would you mean today by it?
It's accurate. Yeah. So it would be like cellular biology. I did a podcast with a guy called Bruce Lipton. He wrote The Biology of Belief. He like popularized epigenetics. And in that, in our podcast conversation, people could even listen to it. One of the things that I remember him mentioning to me, he also mentions in his book, is if you want to change a cell in a petri dish, you don't do anything to the cell, you change the culture that it resides within. That's a big deal. So we're trying to do all of these different things to like change our cells. Meanwhile, we're in a quote unquote like, you know, toxic or, you know, maladaptive is probably a better word, maladaptive environment. And we can take all the supplements we want. We can wear all the blue blocking glasses that we want. We can do all the different grounding mats and, you know, cool our bed and all that stuff. Well, actually, no. I kind of disagree with myself. Some of those would be examples of changing the environment. So I do align with like changing the light, for an example. So that would be an example of the petri dish that you exist in. You are existing in the culture of the light that you're being exposed to. So that light, refer to Huberman or somebody else other than me to go like much deeper into that stuff. But something that's interesting, the frequencies of these lights, they're plugged into an alternating current system instead of a direct current like the sun. And so these are actually, it looks like they're just on, but they're actually flipping like a strobe so fast you can't see that it's strobing, right? So that's a little bit, when you look up at it, what does your body do?
Yeah, it doesn't like it.
It doesn't like it. You don't want that when you're going to bed.
Seems pretty simple. Yeah, that's true.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want, ideally, turn all that off and go back to, like, it's like things are so, like, moronically simple. It's like, go back to what nature would do and introduce nature into your life. If it's nighttime and it was pre-Edison, or Tesla or whatever that race was like, and the light bulb didn't manifest in 18 whenever that was. What was the year of the light bulb?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Whatever.
No public math.
Let's call
Somebody will tell us in the YouTube
1876.
comments and tell us how dumb we are.
So it was like 120 some years ago, 40 years ago. I don't know. It might be like way off.
I'm pretty sure our parents had
Around
electricity.
that. Yeah, around that. Yeah. So, but before that, when the sun goes down, you get no blue light. It's done.
Yeah.
Forever. And now suddenly, everybody's getting sick, everybody's getting fat, everybody's getting anxious, and it's like progressively, it's like this hockey stick into illness. Meanwhile, we have access to all of the health stuff we could possibly have, but it's all minutia because you're not accessing like the wisdom of nature. Which you sound like a heretic, like a crazy person to say some crazy shit like nature is really soothing and healing for the body. You're like, sell me a supplement, baby. It's like, just go outside. And when you're inside, do inside more like you would have done in nature, like when people were healthy.
You're right. You can't sell anybody with that. Okay, I want to end with two things here, which is one, I want to talk about this for a second.
All right.
So this is your company, and you showed me how to use a bunch of this stuff before.
yeah.
But you travel all over the place. You
Yeah.
don't have a ton of things that you have to have.
Yeah.
If you were going to travel without a ton of things,
Yeah.
what would you have? Is this some of the stuff you would have?
Yeah, I bring resistance bands everywhere I go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an authentic thing. Yeah, this is the strength kit. So we call it strength kit because it just has a bunch of bands. You can do a bunch of different things with it. And with this, what's nice about it, it has a door anchor. So you can attach the bands to the door anchor very simply. And then you would plug the anchor up to the door. And then one of the things I really love to do with it is just
Oh God, I haven't used that this way before. This is smart.
It's super smart, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll use it mainly for joint mobilizations, less than exercise stuff. I do the other ones for like, assisted pull-ups and dips and different types of training like that. But the main thing, I'm very lazy. And so the main thing that I use the aligned band system for is for mobilizations and also breathing. So something you could do, tie the door anchor up to the top of the door, put the band in there, and then wrap it around your hips, and then just like walk away from the door, stretch yourself out, open up, go into like a little down dog, open things up. Use it as a feedback mechanism. It's kind of like body work. So press the band up against different parts in your body where you might feel tension. Use your breath to connect with that band, stretch yourself open, go through just different mobilizations to create some hydration in those parts of your body. Do it around the shoulder. If your shoulders are chronically medially rotated, protracted, all that stuff that's not pretty. You're not going to like have sex a lot like Brian Johnson says. Use the band to pull that shoulder back, and then you can start to stretch open the neck. You could go through different ranges of motion. You could do PNF stretching, and you could do contract, relax. You can do all these different techniques, which whatever. But just the band stretching yourself out and just going through whatever it feels intuitively good. Just if you just do that after you get off a plane, in a hotel room, anything like that, it's gonna be very, very helpful. You're opening up your lymphatic system. You're like, getting your posture into a more stacked place. You'll be a little bit more confident. There's all like the Amy Cuddy research. You know about Amy Cuddy, Harvard stuff.
Yeah, but
Superwoman pose.
Oh, right, the power poses.
Power poses.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah,
that was
so
the standing on the desk and the hands at the hips.
Yeah.
And it does work for sure.
It does work. Yeah. So you can use resistance bands. My favorite thing to use resistance bands for by far is mobilization. And so mobilization is something where we're just generally compressed in our bodies. So throw the door anchor up into the door, put a band in there, and just decompress all of your joints. Put in your elbow, put in your wrist, step away from it, decompress that whole chain from the hand up into the bicep, up into the pecs. It's very good. Do it in your ankles. So many people have limited dorsiflexion in their ankles. Throw the band down low, put the band around your ankle, step away, put yourself into like a little lunge runner stretch, and just start to go through a little bit of range of motion with the ankle while you're tractioning and opening up some space with the band. It's so brilliant and easy and effective. It's just like, it's very important that people do things like that.
You know what's wild too is I never realized how many of the most jacked guys I know all are super into stretching. There's like just a jacked man stretch club. My husband's a part of it too, but like every night, just stretching like a motherfucker, that guy.
That's a person who is just healthy. They're just
they're normal. The rest of them
weird. 70% of people are over 70%, 75% overweight. 40% of people are obese.
How sad is that?
It's more you're so weird to be like, have any modicum of health in your day-to-day life. It's so strange. Like, it's crazy.
And yet, we have more gyms than ever.
Yeah,
You know, we have
it's
more
not
health
the
centers
things.
than ever.
It's not the things.
Yeah, well, I remember we were living in DC, and there were these signs all over the city that went up one day, and it was like the fittest city in America. Chris and I looked around because we moved from San Diego. We're like, I'm no scientist.
Yeah.
The fuck this place, people do not look fit at all.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, I want to see, what's this study look like?
Yeah.
Go and look at the study, and it is number of gyms per capita. That's how they're measuring fitness.
Oh yeah. So they're like super fit for like January.
Yeah, exactly. Or they just have not very many people in the actual DC metro area during the day. Right. During the night. And then like 2 million people. It has the highest fluctuation of any city in the country. Yeah. So like 2 million people come in from all the other places to the center of capital and the center of power in the US. And then they leave. So there's a lot of gyms there because some people might go around, they fuck around during the day there. But it's not actually like the population of DC itself uses the gyms with consistency.
Yeah.
And so I think studies are always something to look carefully at. I want to end with one random question I'm super curious about from people lately.
You're going to ask me about butthole sunning, aren't you?
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Also, yes, I am. Perineum sunning, which is an Austonian thing. Yeah, you told me you do that? No.
No.
Do you want to talk about it publicly?
I would like to. I'm open to it. I've done it.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of data that would suggest that it has like a significant effect.
You know, the first time I saw
the balls.
Do.
Sure.
You should sun your
balls.
Thanks for filling that in. I don't need that on the internet, you know?
The Leydig cells, which produce something like the most testosterone, 90-some% of testosterone in your body, are in the testicles. And sun, the infrared rays, they penetrate quite deeply. I forget how many centimeters, but it's quite deep. That's why you get like an infrared light. It's a common thing. Yeah. You know, people put infrared light on their nuts and, whatever. Anywhere. It's good for collagen synthesis and such.
But yes.
So, a few people.
Oh, I've seen you do this on your Instagram. Not actually seen you.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
Sometimes I'll post clips of me naked, but you don't.
It's covered.
I'll put like a smiley face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really healthy thing to do.
Interesting. It helps with fertility.
There's some loose research around it that was done with rats specifically that suggests that it did increase testosterone levels with the rats in like a statistically significant way. But I don't know of any research with humans. But again, a lot of things to me, I trust my intuition.
Yeah.
Like there's so many fads of things. Like I don't care that much what people are saying when something feels good. Yeah. And so keto is popular, carnivore is popular, vegan is popular, pescatarian is popular, Mediterranean is popular, ketones, like all the different things. It changes all the time. Mm-hmm. And so we're waiting for daddy or mommy to tell us what to do with our health, or like telling us how to be. And I lean towards intuitively, like I say the word intuitive, which makes me, maybe to some people I like it, maybe to some people it's like, okay, stop listening to that person because I don't care about your intuition, which I respect that as well because it's like N of one thing. But I would invite people to disregard my intuition and tap into theirs.
I like that.
Yeah.
I want to end with, because I'm building out my reading list.
Cool.
What's the book you have gone back and reread again and again the most often? Like the one that kind of becomes a Bible for you?
Interesting. One that I'm been reading, well, I think the one that's like that I quite love a lot would be Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. That's a really good one. I'm presently reading one that I've enjoyed quite a bit. I'm spacing the author's name right now. It's called Awareness. And it's the author's like mega super famous. He's like one of the spiritual writer guys. But that's one that I've been enjoying quite a bit. I read a lot of like random esoteric stuff from like people that you won't know, like Moshe Feldenkrais is a person I enjoy his writing. I read stuff from other gal.
Why him in particular?
So this would be for specifically people that are like very nerdy about body and somatics and movement, all that stuff. He was like one of the main pioneers on somatics and somatic therapy and the way that movement affects the way that we feel and like the subtleties of movement. And so that is something that I'll go back to with some level of regularity, and I'll just pick it up every now and again just to gather little like nuggets in there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend that to people unless they wanted to be like really like
really deep,
like nerdy in that way.
Yeah.
I'll read stuff from Ida Rolf. Again, it was just stuff I wouldn't recommend this to people, honestly. But like, these are things like things that I'll actually go back to regularly. Those are kind of the things I'll go back to the most.
I love that. Aaron Alexander, Align Podcast, everywhere.
Yeah.
The Align Method.
Yeah.
Where do you like people to search for you the most? Is it YouTube these days or Instagram?
I mean, YouTube's of greater value. We've been putting more energy into YouTube in the last recent, so that's probably what I.
That's where my husband found you first and started using a bunch of your stretching way back, like years ago, back when you were living in Venice, I think.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if there's one place where, I don't know when you're going to release this, but we built a program specifically around breathing. So one of the big things that I find to be the most obnoxious in the realms of like all the different breathing programs and practices and all that stuff, or I ever go to a yoga class or ever go to a breathwork place or whatever, people are breathing, they're going through the different techniques, but they're not actually aware, they haven't been educated on the mechanics of how to breathe. And so this is just like this gaping thing that I've seen for like any time I go to a yoga place, I'm like, your guys' posture is in such a way that you're actually exacerbating the very state that you're coming in here to sort out. So anytime you see somebody like meditating, for example, and they're like, that, I'm like, what are you doing? You're not doing it. And so it's the same thing with breathing and all of that. So we created a Align Method breathing program that will be coming out in January. I don't know when this goes out.
I love that.
Yeah. So
and that'll be at alignpodcast.com.
So that'll be, the alignpodcast.com/breathe will take you to the free trial of that.
Cool.
So there's a week trial with that. And then if people want to do, we created a breathing quiz that is fun. So it takes people through what's called a BOLT score, and then also an exhalation test, and then a few qualitative questions to rate where a person is at in their like breathing scale. And what's really interesting with breath is it is literally the bridge between your mind and your body. It's at the lowest portion of the brainstem, the medulla oblongata. It's why alligators are ornery.
Great reference. Only millennials are going to get that one.
It's the bridge, like anatomical bridge and figurative between the mind and the body. Everybody's been saying it for everybody, for everywhere, or for all time, and everywhere, and everybody. And so it's very interesting that you can start to augment or modulate and change the way that you feel, the way that you're perceived, the way that you connect with other people, the way you connect with yourself, all that stuff, just through understanding the mechanics of breathing. So people take that quiz if they want as well. That's alignpodcast.com/quiz if they want to do the breathing archetype quiz.
I love that.
If they just want
and
to
then
do
is
the
it going to say like bad breath, good breath?
Pretty much.
Is there like a title for like the bestest to the worstest?
Breath alchemist.
Okay. I cannot wait.
And then the crappiest one is stressed survivor, which is so common. Most people are stress survivor.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, you know what's crazy? You should actually sell this to corporations, because I was reading an OSHA survey the other day, as one does, and it was saying that 83% of OSHA-covered workers during their survey responded as stressed, and that stress led to more than what was it? Was it I can't remember what the total dollar amount. It was either $300 million or $800 million in stress-related errors caused to businesses.
Of course.
And so even from a monetary perspective, if you have work that can lead to some sort of it didn't even have to be physical. It could be because you're really stressed, you're not able to properly, finalize a number in a spreadsheet, and that could be a reason why you miss a huge forced error in something. Yeah. And so stress has real monetary impact too.
You could think of your consciousness like a laser beam, and if you have a bunch of static stuff happening in the form of inflammation, in the form of you're thinking about this thing or that thing, and in the form of commiserating over something, or from projecting into the future, or stuck in the past, like any of that stuff, or a form of pain in your back, or and your breathing is perpetuating that same kind of like panic state, then your laser beam is like, it's like fractaled all over the place. You have no direction. If you can start to like quell the literal and figurative inflammation of your consciousness and your body, it's the same thing. They're integrated. You can start to quell that. Suddenly, that laser beam starts to solidify, and you can get shit done.
That's fascinating. Aaron Alexander, this was so good. Thank you.
For the same goal, freedom through ownership. No one else is doing this. We've never done it before, and I think it's the first of its kind. So it's your shot to be part of something bigger when it comes to ownership. Visit the link in the description to save your seat, and let's make 2025 the year we own it together.
Yeah, I think like a mixture of like competency and desire is really rare. And I think not a lot of people realize that. The average person overestimates, I think, how intelligent a lot of people are at the top. And they underestimate how much consistent work over time is the actual path to success. I mean, Tim Cook is probably an outlier, but most of us don't know how to code. Most of us don't know how to create something incredibly unique and differentiated like an Apple. But if we show up at the gym, if we show up every day in private equity, that's actually super rare, which is fascinating to me.
I also didn't want anything. And that, like, in this modern day and age, like, I have this perspective that networking is dead. Because it implies a transaction that is not conducive to building real relationships. The number of people over those years that I've known Tim that I saw come up to him the first time and be like, hey, I want to pitch you on this startup, or like, hey, a job at Apple, whatever the thing is, you have to recognize that people in high positions, their entire life is spent with people coming with their hand out to them. That's their entire life. You are starting to experience that more as you achieve more and more success. You see it, but you can't imagine what that's like for someone like a Tim Cook. His entire life is someone coming with their hand out. So honestly, the fact that for 6 months we interacted when I truly didn't know who he was, built up a base of interactions where he could tell, like, I didn't want anything. The number of times I've ever asked him about something about Apple in my life, I don't even know if I ever have, because I don't care. I'm not looking for a job. I don't want something from him. It is just a genuine desire to learn. He has access to incredible people. He has incredible stories, insights, wisdom. That's what I want. I want to learn from being around these incredible people, understand what makes them tick. And frankly, for someone like that, and I still think about this, he still does it. He is the CEO of one of the largest companies in the world, and he wakes up at 3:45 every single day and goes and works out. That's wild. Baffling. It works harder than any employee that he has working under him. I can't imagine having to work for him and knowing that, like, no matter what I do, I'm not going to work as hard as my boss, not be as focused, not be as driven. It is remarkable. And so we have a lot to learn from people like that, but it comes from being genuine. It comes from actually authentically wanting to create value with no expectation of return.
Yeah. But I think you've done that a few different times. And so I think it's an interesting thing for people to take away, which is like, how do you get the book is amazing. It's right here. I don't know if we can see it on the screen, The 5 Types of Wealth. And I remember when you were showing me the different covers. I like the one you landed on.
My wife was involved in the design process, which was great.
I didn't know that, actually.
She's a designer, so it was great. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
At Gap, right?
Yeah, she was at Gap, yeah.
you have Tim Cook, Andrew Huberman, Mel Robbins, Arthur Brooks, Gary Vaynerchuk, to name a few. And, as I was thinking about the book and going through it, there were a lot of ways I could go. And I want to talk about a lot of the frameworks, because I think that's one of the things you're maybe most unique at in the world, which is like, it does seem like you're obsessed with learning. You're like, how do I optimize my life to have this very wealthy life with a broad spectrum definition, but simultaneously do it in the most efficient and effective way possible? But I wanted to start, before I got to some of your frameworks, with like, what is your favorite story of the book? Like, what's your favorite thing to talk about in there?
I was surprised in the writing process by how much it ended up being a story about the human experience. Like, when I set out, when I signed the original book deal, I thought it was going to be a like rather standard sort of framework, like simple framework, self-improvement book, where you just have the like one framework, and then you basically like sort of just like build it out for 200 pages, and it becomes one of those books that people say like, well, this could have been a 10-page blog. And it ended up taking this right turn where the human stories were what called me, and telling the stories of some of the people who have experienced wealth in all these different ways in their life, the people that reached out to me, the people I went and spent time with, that ended up being the most powerful thing. And, in particular, there's a woman named Alexis Lockhart who reached out to me basically right at the end of my book writing process to tell me her story of a tragic event that had happened in her life, and the wisdom that it had inspired and instilled in her, that I think ended up sort of like pulling together the whole heart of the book. And I feel like that is unique, because as you read it, you will see yourself in one of the human stories. And that's what really makes ideas stick. And so even when I think about sharing frameworks now, I think that frameworks are made so much more powerful by a real human story to connect to around them, rather than just being a big idea.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, like for instance, tell me about the bees and your son. I like that story.
Oh, yeah. So I guess this was like in May of this past year, we were outside, and my wife was like, we were playing. I have a 2-year-old at the time, and we're playing, and my wife was like, there's a bunch of bees around. Like, I'm going to take Roman inside. It makes me nervous. And so we walk inside, and I look out at this tree, and I see like a bunch of movement around it, and I'm like looking. And then I kind of have this holy shit moment of like that entire tree is bees. So I go out and look, and it is this enormous hive. And so I end up going down this rabbit hole, and I sort of live tweeted this rabbit hole of trying to figure out what was going on and how to get rid of this enormous infestation of bees, because I know nothing about bees. I'm not much of like a handyman either. And so like, I'm definitely not going to try to like take this down myself. So I'm like Googling, exterminators, trying to figure it out, realize it's honeybees. Then I'm like learning about honeybees. And the principle there was like sort of a combination of a lot of things I talk about. One being curiosity, and being able to sort of go down the rabbit hole like that. As we're going, I'm like trying to explain to my 2-year-old the type of bees it is, and all of these things. And then also just like a reminder that the most interesting content in the world is like journey-based content. We often think that these kind of like engineered moments are the thing that really drives content, but people want to hear about a human journey. They want to hear about like a real experience, something you're kind of engaged in real time. And so whenever anyone comes and it's like, how can I start my content journey? I really do think that the Gary Vaynerchuk like old school model of like documenting is the way to do it.
Yeah, it's also more fun because you're not engineering things. You're literally living your life and then reflecting on it, which is, I think, how most of us got started. Like, I remember the first piece of content I went out that went viral, I was talking about a laundromat. And like, I literally was like, nobody's really going to be interested in this, but I think this is weird and we should talk about it. And then lo and behold, it becomes this sort of, it has a mind of its own. But I think what I took away from that story from you is like, if you're curious about something and can become obsessed about something, it takes on a life of its own. That mixture of like curiosity and obsession can lead to just about anything you want in the world.
And the coolest thing about that story, which you will love in particular, is so it turned out it was 50,000 honeybees that had formed this hive. And so we had to get a honeybee keeper to come take them away, because you can't kill honeybees, and you shouldn't. They're incredible for the environment. So anyone out there. And a guy comes, a local who makes local honey, and he takes the bees away. And I end up posting about him and his business. He sold out a year's worth of his honey on the back of this thread that had gone viral, and has been like gifting us honeycomb and raw honey as a result ever since, and has become a friend. So Larry the beekeeper, shout out to Larry in Queens, New York.
God, you know I love a boring business. I had to get like one in, you know? You have also said, PSA, this is from a Reddit post that you reposted. PSA, 20 years from now, the only people who will remember that you worked late are your kids. Now you're a dad. You have a son. How do you mesh that belief with, I've also heard you say before, that you have to earn your seat at the table every day? How do you mesh achieving big things with actually being there for your kids and the people that you love?
Yeah. There are a few realities that need to be considered here. And this tension that we're going to talk about, the tension between presence and ambition, is, I would argue, the fundamental tension of being an adult as a parent. Here's one truth. For 10 years, you are your child's favorite person in the entire world. And after that, they have new favorite people. They have friends, best friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, partners, spouses, children of their own. And you will never occupy that same place in their world. But for those 10 years, you are literally everything to them. And unfortunately, that 10-year period also coincides with the time when you are told professionally that you should be chasing every single version of more that the world hands you to. It's when you are hustling the most. It's when you're traveling the most. It's when you're building the most. And so that creates a real tension between your desire to be present during that magic window of time with your kids and your ambition to go and create things, to go and build something. How you navigate that tension is how you navigate your life with your kids. I have wrestled with it, and I share this in the book in the following way, which is, your children need to understand the why you are doing the things you are doing. That is how you navigate this tension well. Because what kids do is, if you do not tell them the why of why you are excited about the things you're doing, why you are passionate about them, why they matter to you, they fill it with the worst answer, which is that you don't care about them, that you don't want to be around, that dad's never around, that mom's never around. When the reality is, you are being driven by a purpose. You are called to something, whether that purpose is building a huge business, or whether it's providing for the family, or whether it's taking care of people, whether it's impacting the world. Whatever that purpose is, that is the real why. And you need to make sure they understand that. And that answer is really informed by my own experience with my father. My dad is extraordinarily hardworking and driven. He was a professor, researcher, works extremely hard to this day. He's 70 years old. And my entire childhood, I remember very clearly him working very hard on things he cared about, and me always knowing why he was working hard on those things. Always knowing that when he was gone, I knew why he was gone, what he was doing, the talk he was giving, the research he was doing, and I knew why it mattered to him. So as a result, I felt like I was a part of that mission that he was on. I felt like I was on the journey with him. It wasn't that he was gone and I was here. It was that I was a part of it. And so I always say that to parents, young parents, make sure that your kids understand why you are doing things. Embrace that tension, navigate it in the way that you see fit, but make sure your children are on that journey with you so that it's not an us versus them, so that it's all of you together.
There was some sort of societal shift where historically we used to work together with our families. We used to take over family businesses. We used to actually hire our family members. And that was the norm for most of human history, right? It would actually be bizarre if we did not in some way, shape, or form work with and alongside our family. And then, maybe 2 generations ago, 3 max, that changed. And then it became nepotism to hire people in your family. And then it became actually bad for the next generation to pass things down for them. And I'm not sure we weren't told a lie about that. I work with my father now. He actually works with my company in some ways. I was my brother's first job out of college. My mom's worked with me before. And now my husband and I work together. And, Elizabeth and you worked on the book cover design together as well. So I think there's something really beautiful about, I don't have kids, so I can't speak to that, but allowing your family to come along for the ride. It's like, how can you expect them to be happy for you and your accomplishments if they don't know what they are, if they don't understand them, and if they can't touch them, see them, and feel them? So when it comes to parenting, just to stick on this for one more minute, when it comes to parenting, what
habits or rituals do you have with your son in order for you to have real quality time, even though you are traveling all the time?
Yeah, I really try to understand and very clearly establish an awareness of the difference between time and energy. And this is a really important mindset shift for all areas of life, but definitely for your relationships. And the difference here is I can spend an hour with you, but if I'm sitting there on my phone, worried about emails, responding to texts, looking at Instagram, you are not going to feel my presence in any way. And we are not going to feel connected in any way. It's similar to what we were saying earlier about having the phone on the table. Kids are the exact same way. They're no different. If you have your phone out in front of them while you're supposedly spending time with them, that hour, they are not going to feel any connection. But 10 minutes of truly present energy, when they are the only person in the world to you, can last for hours and hours in their mind. And so that is really what I try to focus on. It is, I may be in a season of my life where I am unbalanced, where I am like all hands on deck, charging, focused. Right now, I am in one of those, trying to go out and spread the message of this book, which is very important to me. But when I'm there, I am going to be tuned off of everything else, and it's going to be there. Like, I mean, my favorite thing in the world with my 2.5-year-old boy is like roughhousing. I can't be on my phone while I do that, right? Like, he wants to wrestle, he wants to like get thrown around, get tossed up in the air, all of those things. And so it is the most beautiful thing because it forces you to turn off in a very real way. But that same principle applies to all of your relationships. I mean, if you're like, supposedly having quality time with your partner and you're sitting there thinking about a million other things on your phone, the way to think about your phone is frankly just like it is allowing a million people to be there with you while you're sitting with the one person. And you would know if they were actually sitting in the room that you weren't having quality time with this person. But it's the exact same thing. It's just in the form of a technology. And so finding a way to actually separate from it, for me, I actually have to have it in a different room. Like, I can't have my phone in front of me when my son's there if I want to be present. It needs to be in my office in another room so that I can be there. I had I haven't shared this, but I had a moment recently. I was in my office focusing on something, and my son barges through the door, and he's 2.5, so he starts just creating chaos in my office. I'm trying to focus on something. He starts like throwing stuff. He's jumping up on the couch, like throwing books on the ground. And I started having this enormously negative thought pattern of like, why is he doing this? So annoying. I'm trying to focus. Doesn't he realize I'm working? And I snapped myself back to 4 years ago when my wife and I were struggling to conceive. And we had been struggling for a year or two. And I prayed every single night that we would one day have a healthy child. And then here I was in that moment complaining about the very thing that I had prayed for. And it was a reminder to me that sometimes the things you pray for become the things that you complain about if you let them. Sometimes you are literally living your prayers, but you're not recognizing it in the moment. You're not allowing yourself to zoom out and appreciate that in the moment. So finding those moments to pause and just bask in gratitude and force yourself to zoom out when you catch yourself doing that, holding yourself to the fire, I just think is so important in life.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Hard too.
Very hard.
What do you do when you get in those negative thought patterns? When you start to get annoyed, if you want to zoom out, is there a mental exercise you use for that?
I think it's the pause and breathe. It requires a level of self-awareness in moments to be able to hold yourself to the fire. Like, you need to be able to tell yourself the truth. We talked about having truth tellers that can say that to you. But in a lot of moments in life, you're not going to have that person there in your ear. You have to be that person in your own ear. And it means you have to be self-critical enough to do that. I do think that, like, in the modern day, on social media in particular, there's been this whole trend of give yourself some grace, give yourself a little bit of grace. And while I agree that occasionally we need to give ourselves a little bit of grace, I think for most people, we actually need to hold ourselves to the fire more often than not. I think we give ourselves too much grace. And look, maybe that's a harsh take, but I just think it's true. I think most of the time you need to hold yourself to the fire a little bit and your life will improve.
Yeah. I want to talk really quickly about some of the frameworks I've stolen from you to make my life better, easier, simpler, a little richer and wealthier.
you kind of popularized this idea for me around razors. Like a rule of thumb that simplifies decision making, but you have quite a few of them. Can you explain what it is and what are some of your favorites and how do you use them?
Yeah. So the idea of a razor comes from philosophy originally. It's something that allows you to shave away possible explanations and get to the heart of something. So the best way to say it is what you said. It's a rule of thumb that simplifies decision making. The most famous razor, which is probably my favorite one, is Occam's razor, which is the idea that the simplest possible explanation is often the best one. So this is for all the conspiracy theorists out there. I'm sorry, but Occam's razor typically will say that if there is some crazy thing happening, and we want to say that the government is doing some whole like crazy back end crazy thing, the simplest explanation is like, no, it's just the obvious thing that is happening. The government is not particularly competent. If you have ever flown, you have seen the government in action with the TSA. Or if you've ever gone to try to get a new license, you have seen it at the DMV. That's the government. But all jokes aside on that, Occam's razor is amazing because it's all about the idea that simple is beautiful. And so whenever you have a simple explanation for something or a very complex one that will require a lot of assumptions to be true, usually the simple one is correct. Another one of my favorites for the world of the internet is Hanlon's razor, which says that you should never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity or ignorance. So the second you are in an argument with someone and you start saying like, oh, this person is malicious in their actions or they're in their intent, sometimes it is just ignorance or stupidity. And a lot of the time it's just ignorance or stupidity. That will save you from a whole lot of heartaches and headaches in life.
You know what the other one, it's not a razor, but you sometimes send it to me when I'm pissed off about something on the internet, is I think you should talk about the spotlight effect.
There are two big mistakes in life. Worrying about what other people think about you and believing that other people think about you in the first place. The reality is no one is thinking about you. Everyone is just going through life worried about themselves. Yep. The spotlight effect is this behavioral phenomenon whereby we overestimate the degree to which other people are noticing or observing our actions and behaviors. Basically, we think everyone is looking at us when they're not. Everyone is just worried about themselves. Call it the Zoom phenomenon, because when you're on a Zoom chat, you're so worried about how you look, and then you go look at the statistics, and 90% of the time, people are just looking at themselves. So literally no one is looking at you. You are the only one looking at yourself. And that is true for life. And understanding the spotlight effect is the key to unlocking your own capabilities, because you will be more willing to put yourself out there. There's so much hidden talent in the world that is not putting itself out there for fear of judgment from failure. You're not actually afraid of failure. You're afraid of what other people will think of you if you fail. But no one's thinking about you.
No. And at last, I mean, now that we have a bunch of people on the internet, what I have realized is that even when you are literally the talk of the internet, it lasts 24 hours, a week, max. I mean, a lot of our friends have been huge, scandals, issues, whatever, and then they're gone. It's like a week later, nobody cares about it. And so, but I understand why people worry, because I was talking to a friend of ours, Sri, and Sri, was just getting ridiculed on the internet for I don't know, being Indian and pro-humans, basically. And Sri's about the nicest guy in the world, super competent. And I remember when this started happening to him, I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? Like, I know how this goes because it's happened to me, not to that degree, because that was a whole different thing with politics involved. But you've had it happen too. The first time it happened to me, I felt like when you are scared about something physically happening to you. There's almost a visceral response that your body has that's like, oh my God, everybody's talking about me online. And it is this, you almost have to overcome it and then realize actually nobody really cares. It was a split second. It's really easy to engage and then you're not worth it. But I understand why people worry, because you can hear about the spotlight effect, and then when the spotlight is even slightly upon you, everything goes out the window.
It's very true. It's also just a reminder. I think it instills in you a sense of humility the first time that happens, because you realize one very sad thing about the world, which is a line from Billions. That's one of my favorite lines. Paul Giamatti's character says it to Axe in the first episode. He says, "Make no mistake, they might be cheering for you now, but they are dying to boo. And those things, when they happen, people come out of the woodwork to boo and get really excited about booing. And it's a reminder that a harsh truth of life is that most people don't want to see you be successful. There are a lot of people out there who say they want you to be successful until you get up to the point where you're more successful than them, and then they're the first ones ready to try to tear you back down. And so to the point that we made at the very beginning on like finding your people that will truly support you and really genuinely want to see you win, they are few and far between. Yeah. And you need to cherish those people, and you need to be that to someone else. And so that's like when you send a text to the person when they're going through that, people never forget who was there for them when shit hit the fan, when they were down. And it doesn't mean you flew there and you have to be there and give advice and do all sorts of things. It's literally just texting someone to say, hey, I'm with you. These fires are happening in LA right now. Sending a text to the person to say, like, I'm with you, goes so far and is so impactful in the way that you interact with the world. And all of this comes to this idea of social wealth, which is like, there is clear scientific evidence that the people you surround yourself with determine your outcomes. Mm-hmm. The Pygmalion effect says that we rise to the level of expectations that others have for us in our circle. So if you are surrounded by people who think you are capable of more, who believe in you, who are telling you to think bigger, who are pushing you to grow, you will rise to the level of those expectations. So what better reason to choose wisely about the people that you have in your circle, the people that you are surrounding yourself with, the people you are gifting your precious energy in your life?
Yeah, it's a really important part you talk about in the book, and I love that study because it's wild. Do you want to talk? I know you talk about it in the book. Yeah. You want to break down the study?
Yeah. The Harvard study of adult development is this incredible longitudinal study that was done over the course of 85 plus years. They tracked the lives of 1,300 original participants and then all of their descendants, so like about 2,000 plus people. And they found that the single greatest predictor of physical health at age 80 was relationship satisfaction at age 50. Not your cholesterol, not your blood pressure, not your smoking or drinking habits. How you felt about your relationships determined your physical health outcomes, how you aged over your course of your life. And so we know, scientifically, we know that relationships are the key to living a good life, a happy, healthy life. Every single person, you go and ask them, what do you want your ideal day to look like at age 80? No one says alone. Everyone says surrounded by love, right? You got your partner, you maybe want kids, grandkids, your friends. That's what we all want. And yet, when you ask them what they're doing today, very few are investing in that future. You know to invest in financial wealth. You know that if you want to be rich when you're older, you have to invest every single day. But if you want to have rich relationships, you have to do the same. You have to send the text to the friend. You have to make sure that you are the reason that your group of friends is getting together. You have to spend time with your parents or your partner or your children. These things don't just magically appear out of thin air. You have to invest in them the same way that you do in your financial wealth.
Yeah, that's why I think it's interesting. I mean, you have a lot of different reasons why you focused on the actual 5 levels to wealth here. But I think I want people to read the actual book, but talk high level about, you spent a ton of time researching what are the things that matter? What creates a wealthy life? Why did you choose these 5? What are they? And how is that going to impact somebody's life?
Yeah. When I went on this journey after that conversation that I had with the friend that we talked about earlier, and made this big change in my life, I went on a multi-year journey to try to understand what were the things that contributed to a truly happy, healthy, fulfilling, wealthy life. And the realization there was that the scoreboard is fundamentally broken. Peter Drucker, the famous management theorist, said, what gets measured gets managed. So the thing that you can measure ends up being the thing that you focus on. It's the thing that you narrowly, myopically hone in on and optimize around. Money is extremely measurable. So it becomes the thing that we narrowly focus on. And the truth is that money is a part of living a truly wealthy life, but it is just a part. There are all of these other things that we sort of know in the back of our mind matter, but we don't have a way to measure them. We don't have a way to think about them in the same way. And so as a result, we don't manage them. We don't actually think about investing in them in the same way. That is what I'm trying to change. And so as I came to this idea, this thesis, I went and talked to thousands of people. And basically did two things. One, I went to much older people who had lived long lives and talked to them about the advice they would have for their younger selves and how they felt about living a good life. And then I went and talked to younger people and asked what they wanted when they were 80. What did they want their life to look like? This question of what does your ideal day look like? And the thing that you find is that we all want the same thing. And it has very little to do with money. Money is kind of an enabler, but not an end in and of itself. And it was four things. It was time, people, purpose, and health. We want time, freedom to choose. We want to feel free. People, we want to be surrounded by love. Purpose, we want to feel like we know what we are doing every day, that there is some reason that we are doing these things. And then health, we want to feel good of mind and body. Money, again, was an enabler to those things, but not an end in and of itself. It was a tool, but not the goal, if you will. And that was how I really came to this idea and this construct of thinking about this new scoreboard, a new way to measure your life across the broader set of pillars that contribute to building a good life. And the thesis is that if you measure the right things, you will take the right actions and you will create the right outcomes. If you measure the wrong things, if you're just measuring for the battle of money, you may win that battle, but you will lose the war of the broader picture of your life. So we need to measure for the full war. We need to measure for the entire picture of what we're doing, and then we'll make the right decisions and we'll create the right outcomes.
Do you think young Sahil, young finance bro Sahil would struggle with talking about love? Did you talk about love back then too?
Talk about love when I was young finance bro. I viewed a lot of things as a distraction to the important thing, which was making money. I was so narrowly focused on external affirmations. And I have this thing in the book, this thing that I call the status test, the bot status test, where you ask yourself when you're about to buy something, would I buy this if I couldn't tell anyone that I had it? If I couldn't post it on Instagram, if I couldn't show anyone? Like, would I buy this watch? Would I buy this car if no one knew about it except me? Usually the answer is no. And what you realize when you start to think about that question is you are living a lot of your life for the benefit and pleasure of other people, which is kind of a crazy thing to think about. Like, how much of my life am I actually living for other people rather than for myself? And so I think that a lot of my life, my whole mental model for life was like, I am going to wake up one day when I have X million dollars and feel happy. And every time I would get to that number and it would have disappeared and it would be some other number. And we have studies to say this. Michael Norton, this Harvard Business School professor, went and interviewed high net worth individuals, people worth anywhere from $1 million on through 100 million plus. And he asked them, how happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? So they answered. And then he said, how much more money would you need to be at a 10? Across the board, whether they were worth $1 million or 100 million, everyone said 2 to 5x as much. It didn't matter what level they were at, which makes no sense. So we know it's not about some arbitrary number. It is about understanding your definition of enough. Where do you actually need to get to? What does your life look like where you are truly fulfilled? It's not going to be the money. It's going to be what that enables in your actual life in these other areas. I think I really would have struggled with that. That being said, and I need to make this clear, I am by no means saying that money doesn't matter. I am not telling anyone that they should go and, give up their worldly possessions and live in the Himalayas as a monk. If you want to do that, by all means, go do it. I just won't be joining you. I like money. I like being able to afford things. I like having money. I am just saying that it can't be the only thing that you focus on, that you need to invest in these other areas in some way, shape, or form across the entirety of your life. There may be seasons of your life when financial wealth is your primary focus. Yeah. And one of the key concepts in the book is the idea of seasons, the idea that what you prioritize or focus on during any one season can and should change. Your 20s and 30s are a great time to prioritize building a financial foundation for the rest of your life. You talk about this all the time. The fact that you can invest money early and it will compound and grow for the rest of your life. Incredible. You should do that. That's a great season. But when your kids are 5, it may be a great season for you to prioritize your relationship with your kids and sort of be in more maintenance mode from a financial wealth building standpoint, if you make that decision. But the point around all of this is it's up to you. You don't need to accept the default definition of success that the world hands you. You get to create your own. And the truth is, you will never feel successful unless you create your own definition of success.
You've got to do that. And, other people aren't going to like it. I think that's the other part that's true. I mean, you know this. I'm terrible at responding to text messages. Why? Because I try to not have my phone on me all the time. Otherwise, I get distracted, and I have a specific agenda and goal for the day. And so if I let even people I love and adore distract me from that goal, then that means I got to work longer. I got to stay later. I can't have dinner with my husband. My husband and my dinner every night is a priority. And so, I think for somebody listening, if they're like, all right, this makes sense. I've seen you personally sacrifice a bunch of career progression things that you could do. At one point you were raising a big fund and you were going to build another asset management business, which we've both done before. And then you were like, no, actually, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to think, and I'm going to be with my son. Do you have a cost benefit analysis or a framework you use to decide, okay, this is a goal for me or this is an anti-goal?
Yeah, I think it's really important what you just said, which is like, there are trade-offs that you have to make. There are sacrifices along the way. And I have explicitly said no to a number of opportunities where I could make more money because I know what they would require is me being pulled away from this time freedom that I have with my son primarily during this window of time when I'm playing such a special role in his life. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to go all out for those things when he's 8 years old and spending more time in school, or 12, or whenever. Maybe when he leaves the house, when he's graduates from high school, I lean into a bunch of these opportunities. What you decide in the current season does not preclude you from changing in the future season. And look, we made this decision in a very real way when it comes to my wife's path. My wife was on a high-powered designer track, rising through the ranks in a very competitive industry, doing great. And when our son was born, she made the decision that she wanted to truly prioritize being a mom during these early years of his life. Where we live, in the Northeast and in a lot of coastal cities, that was a weird decision. She still gets comments from other moms in town saying, "You're just a mom."
Oh, gross.
And we hate it because I think it's the most important job in the world. I think it's remarkable the energy that she puts towards it and the impact it has on our relationship with our son and on his development. But her ability to say, this is one season of life, and I'm going to really be immersed in being a mom during this season. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to go back and be a designer in the next season. When he's in school and I have more time and he's not home all the time, I can go do that. And I have the freedom to make that decision as I so choose. That is a really empowering way to think about your life because it's a reminder that there's no such thing as a one-way door. All of these are two-way doors. You can walk back through them and you can go back and prioritize these other things again. And we need to recognize that more in life.
Yeah. You also have some interesting takes on being married and how to treat your wife in a world where there's a lot of tension between men and women these days. There's tension with traditional, non-traditional roles. There's tension with, God, I've been on Twitter too much lately, but, with how people feel about women in relationships and should you have them. When you think about your partnership, she's beautiful, smart, very supportive of you. How did you decide that she was the one? And how do you also think husbands should show up for wives these days?
So before I got married, my mom asked me how I knew Elizabeth, my wife, was the one. And I told her it was because I loved doing nothing with her. And the realization there is that most of life is just sitting around doing nothing. It's sitting on the couch, hanging out, watching shows, really doing nothing. But you create this impression that life is all about these crazy honeymoon moments. It's about the fancy date nights out, the Instagram moments. It's the impression that social media creates for what your life looks like. But the reality is that life is those moments of nothing. So when you find someone that you just love doing nothing with, that is your person. Yeah. That is the person that you want to go and build a life with. And I was very lucky in the fact that I met my wife when she was 14. I was 15 years old when we met.
Good clarification, also given Twitter these days.
Yeah.
Same age range.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, I was 15. She was 14. And we met in a high school computer lab.
I didn't know that.
The strength that gets built in you when you have grown across different seasons of life, she has been very consistent throughout all of those seasons, actually, as a human. I have not. I was not a person that I am proud of for many of those years. But the fact that she has seen
your services for a bunch
Window
of
cleaning.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we own it's called Pinks. It's actually very cool. It's like 170 locations across the U.S. The whole home service franchise is about 800.
Wow.
And so window cleaning, painting companies,
Yeah.
garage installation, et cetera. But what's fascinating is we found for a bunch of our new franchise owners, their biggest issue was wallet share. So they always assumed that people would never pay for things that they wouldn't pay for. They're like, I can't picture it because
Sure.
I can't pay for it. Somebody else, there's no way they're going to.
Yeah.
And so it's been really interesting trying to break a lot of the team of this idea that rich people actually have a lot of money and they want you to give them a service to
Sure.
pay for.
Yeah.
And so what do you tell, I've seen lots of your real estate agents, but a lot of them don't come from money. Like
Yeah.
they're hustlers.
Yeah.
How do you get them to understand what it takes to sell to rich people and to break out of what might be their wallet instead?
What wealthy people are paying for is not information or access. It's confidence. And confidence is currency. They want to know that when you tell them to do something or you tell them not to do something, that they're going to believe it because they can pay for whatever information or whatever access they want. And they could probably buy this house in front of them or this car or this watch. And if it was a bad deal, it's not going to change their life in any way, shape, or form. But when you have confidence in what you know and how you position this in their life, right? That confidence is the energy currency that will help that person make decisions with you. And then they will be loyal to you for the rest of your career.
It's true.
Right? Billionaire class is that bullseye, but they are protected by 6 rings of sphere of influence, right? From advisors to family to friends to assistants to bankers to the outermost ring of vendors. So who is somebody that has already broken through and gotten their trust to get their share of wallet? That's interior designers, contractors, attorneys. We were just talking about divorce attorneys, right? Estate attorneys and so on. Those people have a shared commercially aligned interest with what we do. And so the way to get to the bullseye isn't to go to the bullseye and sit there and say, hey, come work with me. It's to get to the people where you have a commercially aligned interest, and then you can have share of trust while getting to share of wallet. And we teach salespeople to do that. It is not easy, but once you learn how to create those conversations and build those relationships, you can build an uncapped life.
It's incredible. It's why I really like that you have the education company, because I know everybody thinks that education has a sheen on it.
Yeah.
You know, they think if you could do, you do. And if you can't do, you teach. But I think it's a real gift to give people like the secrets that you learn over 10, 15 years of being in real estate. And so I guess in that instance, with these real estate agents that come in for you, I'm sure you have interviewed thousands and you've probably seen thousands across the years. What did like the top 1% do? And that maybe even the 99% would think is unreasonable.
The top 1% of salespeople just don't quit. It's the only way to be in the top 1%. Hard work trumps luck when luck doesn't work hard. And so they just show up day in and day out. They understand their job is to lose. And slowly but surely, the wins start to outpace the losses. And then you compound and you compound. They're also relentless with follow-up, right? And they have pretty great memories or systems and processes in place to make sure that they follow up and follow through and follow back with everything they say they're going to do with every person that they meet. And they also understand too, like in negotiations, like they understood to do like what I just talked about in Palm Beach. Like the number one negotiation tactic is silence. Silence is violence. There's nothing that drives a wealthy person crazier than not responding. And I see it with me. There is nothing that drives me crazier than when Danny doesn't respond to my text messages. Like I just lose my mind with everybody that works for me that doesn't respond in time. And I know my clients are the same way because when they want something, they want it. How dare you not respond? So you have to respond in real time or don't. Go get another job.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I think the richer you are, the faster you move on average. And the one thing I've always found with knowing as many billionaires as we've gotten to know over the years is like They're just faster than anybody imagines. I think a lot of times people think they're always smarter. I'm not sure that's always the case.
Yeah.
But like they don't waste time at all. And you've actually talked about this. You've talked about how like you can't get some of your billionaire clients on the phone. They're like, the thing is, I don't get on the phone.
Yeah.
And so do you have any weird quirks like that? Like, will you not do voice notes? I like Mark Andreessen's comment of like voice notes are violence. I think like it's a one-way street. Don't give them to me. I don't want one. You got anything like that?
I don't send people voice notes, but I do record my own voice notes, and then I'll listen to them on the way to work. Right?
Like motivational quotes.
Yeah, no, I just talk to myself. I'm like, you got this, right, guy? You can do it, buddy. No, just like instead of having to type, everything I do now is voice. Our AI service is all voice. Everything is voice. And so I'll just talk about ideas so that I just don't forget them, to remind myself to put them into action. Billionaires text more than 13-year-old girls. They just do, for two reasons. First reason is it saves time. And they know that if you try to get them on the phone, what are you going to do? You're just going to try to convince them. And if you can't convince them in writing, you're not good enough. So that's one. Two is so that it's in writing. So you can't go back and say, well, we talked about that. Remember when we had that conversation, we did this. They can just scroll. Anyone who has become that wealthy has gone through litigation, and text messages and emails are admissible in court. And so you just always have to be careful that if you say it, right, you can forget it. If you write it, you can regret it. And incredibly wealthy people get that.
Let's talk about hiring. So
Okay.
you're bringing a bunch of people on board.
Yes.
Lots of people want to work for you. I saw the office. It's amazing. You've got your Surhant all over the sides of it. It's a cool building.
Yeah.
You've got people lining up. How do you determine if somebody's an A player or not? If somebody should work for Ryan, I would assume you only want as many A players as you can. How can you tell?
We haze them physically. Yeah.
Figured.
If you can't take a punch, you can't work here.
You can't do that in New York. Texas, we're fine. New
Yeah,
York,
exactly.
You guys are soft.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I hire first and foremost for intelligence. If I have someone who's incredibly smart in front of me, even if they don't have the resume, if they don't have the backing, if they don't have the experience, they're just going to figure it out. And a lot of what running a startup is about is not doing things the way we used to do them, but improving on the way we're about to start doing them. And so I used to hire people for experience, and I just hated it because every meeting I would go to would be talking about what they used to do. Right? It's like someone who's, I don't know, been divorced 3 times. Every conversation is about an ex-wife. It's like, guy, move on. Like, talk about the future. And so what I like to do, especially with our executive hires, is I hire for a function, and I hire for raw intelligence, and I hire out of industry. If they have rideshare app operational experience, high growth tech business, they won't have any idea how to operate my business, a cloud brokerage, opening a state every month, but they'll get it. They'll figure it out. I also test for energy, empathy, and enthusiasm. Like, those are my 3 E's. And then our 3 key metrics are speed, quality, and experience. If you're not moving a little bit faster, at a little bit of better quality, and leaving an amazingly memorable experience, then we are screwed.
That's a good point. Everybody has stories about their realtor. And if it's a good one, you get, I'm sure, 5 or 10 more clients.
Yeah.
And if it's a bad one, you probably get turned down 10 or 20 clients.
That's also, I mean, I was mostly talking about staff, because I spent a lot of time thinking about
Your actual leadership
about
team.
payroll
Yeah.
and the leadership team. Like, our leadership team now is 17 people.
Yeah.
And I sit there, and that's an expensive group of people. Every single minute costs money. And I have this 1,000-minute rule that's really important to me. And I really look at time as dollars. It's the only way that I can be efficient with my time and also not waste time. Right?
What's
Like,
your 1,000-minute rule?
you have 1,000 minutes every day to be productive. Some people have 800 minutes. Some people have 7 jobs. Some people have 10 kids. It's all different. But on average, right, you have 1,000 minutes every day to be productive. If you look at those 1,000 minutes as $1,000 in your bank of time you get every day, it'll really start to affect the way you give someone 15 minutes, or affect the way you start valuing your commute, for example. And I was spending so much time because I'm in sales. I have no salary. I have no benefits. You eat what you kill. There is absolutely no parade when you make $25 million a year. And there is no pat on the back when you are in bankruptcy. No one cares. You're in it to win it. Okay. And so I was spending so much time meeting with people where it wasn't a benefit for me. Commuting where it just was a complete waste of time. And I was like, how do I re-trigger my brain to think about time like money? Every day is going to cost me, at that time when I started this, was $1,000. 1,000 minutes, $1,000. If it's an hour meeting, that's 60 minutes. It also helped me deal with problems and not have bad days, right? It's like you'll have a really bad call and then you have a terrible day. But if the call was only 5 minutes, would I throw away $995 because of $5? Probably not. And it's not a great analogy because you could have a bad call that could ruin your life. I mean, there's tragedies, et cetera. But like, it was a real way for me to think about life in a relative way that has been a major unlock for how we operate. And so I really try to put our executive team on the 1,000-minute rule as we go. Harvard Business Review wrote a case study on it, thinking that it was the most interesting thing about me when I thought there were so many more interesting things about me. And they're like, no, you're so weird with time management and how you do so many different things. We're going to write about that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, when you were on, I think it was $1 Million Listing was the first show, right?
Yeah.
You were known as like this amazing sales guy,
Is
one
that
of the
what I was
top
known for?
real estate brokers, but you also had a little bit of a reputation for being tough,
Yeah.
you know? Was that, given you were an actor before, is that like part of your personality? Is this like a persona that you put on? Or are you kind of like a tough guy while also being this funny guy and highly competent?
When Millionaire Listing was created, they cast 4 of us on the show. And they said, we're going to film all 4 of you for the first season. You're going to spend a year making this TV show. Only 3 of you are going to make the cut.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yep. And you think business is rough? That was emotional roller coaster, because the producers would show up to a scene like, hey, I've got this person I want to show this apartment to. It's going to be great. And they would show up and they'd say, oh, this is what you have? Yeah, well, we were shooting with the other guy this morning and he had this amazing celebrity in this gorgeous penthouse. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work for you. And it, like, what they were doing was poking me and prodding me to make me get better and to figure things out. And I had to not just be like the white, quirky, nice guy. That is boring TV. So if I could be the most vulnerable and have a little bit of an edge, I would not get cut, because I don't want to spend a year. You know how many thousands of minutes that would be?
That's a lot of
I would
thousands
stress
of
out.
minutes.
And so
Harvard would not write a case study on you.
yeah. So I kind of concocted this arc where, I'm an introvert. I got into theater when I was a little kid, so I didn't have to be myself. It was much easier moving from school to school to school because I was not good at sports. I was overweight. I had rash acne and I was going gray. And I moved 8 times before 4th grade to pretend to be a tree in theater after school than it was to try to go play football. And the TV show gave me an option to put on a different type of costume, right? And a friend of mine who told me to get into real estate was like, it's theater. It's the same thing. You put on a performance. You put on your suit. You memorize information. You understand the scene. And you say yes and, right? There's some memorization, but it's yes and. How can I help you? You want an apartment? Yes. And what about this? And okay, what about this? And then you help them make a decision that they were going to make anyway, because they're going to move, except they're going to do it with you. And it was a game. And that's how we built.
So smart. It's interesting because now that I'm on the internet as much as I am, I see the showmanship everywhere, and you see it in business. I mean, like famously, I was reading about Todd Graves from Raising Cane's. This other person who's become a friend, David Senra, has this podcast called Founders. He talks about this game of showmanship as a leader and a CEO. So do you feel like you carry that into the CEO position, or do you almost have to leave behind this character development? Like, is there a little villain in the CEO, just like there was in the $1 Million Listing?
I think I'm way tougher as a CEO than I am as a TV agent.
Yeah.
You have to be, because the liability is so hard. And a lot of people, need to be led. People want to be led. I am a terrible manager. I hate it. It's not what I do. I have people who manage. I'm a much better leader than I am a manager.
How do you see the difference between the two? What's the difference between a leader and a manager?
I think that a manager does things right and a leader, right, does the right things. I think that's a Drucker quote more than anything. I think the leader picks vision and stands at the front of the line. The manager makes sure that the line follows the vision. If you think about like Marcus Aurelius and that front line, and one of the ways I differentiate myself, at least in the real estate space, is that a lot of CEOs are in the back. They're in like a high perch, paying for things, and then let's see what happens. Maybe like an idiot, I've got like my broadsword out, no helmet, because this could be my last battle, and I'm in the front lines on a horse, marching around, and I'm like, you guys better follow me because I'm going. And then they're like, I guess we're going too. And that's how we built the company.
I feel like I've seen that video.
Yeah,
You've like
probably.
done
We
that
should make
before.
that video. Yeah.
You really should.
Yeah.
You obviously have a ton of confidence, or at least projected confidence. How do you think somebody builds that? You've talked about how important it is to have confidence to sell things to rich people. How does somebody build their confidence?
One of the ways I did it was with that fake Rolex early on. I think people have a lack of confidence because they have a lack of identity. One of the things that we'll do through Sell It. So sellit.com is our education business. We train salespeople in 133 countries. We've changed so many lives. And so it's insane to watch. As you sit, we say, define yourself without using your name or talking about what you look like. And it is so hard for people to do that. They're like, oh, I'm from X. It's where everyone goes. I was born in, I'm like, okay, so just so you know, you just told me everything about you has to do with where you're from or where you're born? Really? Are you sure? Your whole life? They're like, oh, no, that's it. I have a job. And they don't know how to talk about themselves. So we spend a lot of time helping people talk about their core identity. Who are you as a person? What makes you tick? If you understand who you are today, pros, cons, strengths, and weaknesses, you can then write your future memoir and go 24 months out. 24 months from today, where are you? What do you look like, right? Where are you living? What are your best character traits? What are you watching? How much do you weigh? What are you driving? Get as detailed as you possibly can. And then that is your roadmap. And if you know that's your roadmap, you spike your own confidence because you are able to execute for a year, right? And then realize that vision for the next year. And if you do it the right way, you are that person before the 24 months are up.
I want to talk about how you're stacking all these businesses now.
Okay.
So you start as like a real estate broker.
Yeah.
And you work for somebody else.
Yeah.
Then you build your brokerage. Now you have your education platform, as far as I can see it. You also have your SaaS company and you have this brokerage.
Yeah.
What am I missing? And a media company? Do you separate that? Like, how do you structure your holding company? What does that look